It's always a good show when you're on.
Yeah. I'm the sober one.
Don't throw me under the bus like that.
That was a play on words. They're like, they always think I'm drunk.
That's right. They always think you're drunk, and it's really funny when they do. Man, does John come like 3 sheets already?
No, I don't know what you're talking about, guys. No, I don't know.
What?
You and your ginger beer. Oh, this stuff's so hard. Oh.
Yeah. Strong.
It burns. Doesn't even have a soul.
Well, it's kind of supposed to. Oh, it's going to be a good show. Welcome to episode 53 of Talking Heads, everyone. I'm Jeff.
I'm John.
Oh, man. It has been a week already.
Yeah, oh my god, today at work was just insane.
Well, the heck with your work. The news week.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is I can't even. There's so much work that I had to do these past 3 days. I couldn't even get to half these articles till like a couple minutes ago, and everything's talking about stuff. I'm like, I gotta wait till my lunch break to even look at this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I had a very similar week. Why is my chat not up? Hold on. There we go. Now I can see the chat. All right, we're on. Anyway, yeah, I had a very similar week at work, and in fact, I stayed home from work yesterday because I did something to my left knee over the weekend, and like I tweaked it on Saturday. I felt like this pull, and then it like hurt like the burning of 1,000 suns for about 5 seconds, and then it stopped, and then there was like nothing. And it's like, okay, I'm fine. And Sunday I was just fine, and I set up my brand new shelves that you can see that no one else can.
Yeah, it looks really cool from this angle. This is actually starting to look like a really, really nice studio.
Yes, no, I'm really, really thrilled with the way the studio's turning out. But anyway, so I did all that work on Sunday, and then I woke up on Monday, and my knee hurt a little bit. Like, it was just like, and it's like, I'm getting old. I'm sore. Yeah. I'm tired.
Like, I probably slept on it wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Those shelves are 95 pounds a piece.
Yeah.
I carried all of them upstairs by myself. I got them all together by myself. Got everything loaded on them by myself. And Monday, I'm just like a little sore. And then I'm walking around Monday night around the office doing some things, and I'm starting to feel that pull again. And I'm starting to feel like just these little twinges of pain where there shouldn't be pain.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm going to stop. I'm going to take some ibuprofen, go to bed. I woke up in the morning, and my knee on the left side of my left knee was literally swollen about a half inch out from where it should be. The whole thing was just ballooned out. And so it's been a rough little week. Are you trying to get Intel to have you benchmark their tech with that hat? It is my Shintel hat. So Intel actually gave me this hat at a conference years ago that I went to. It was part of a data center. Basically, when SSDs were starting to hit the data center, I went to an Intel sponsored conference to where they were promoting data center tech and why you should move away from traditional SAS drives and go to SSDs and that kind of thing. And they gave me a hat, and they gave me a 480 gig SSD.
That's sweet right there.
And by the way, that was back when like 480 gig SSDs, I guess it was a 512 SSD. That was back when they were like $1,500 a piece. Not when you could go pick one up for like $199 or $150
I know. Yeah, back then you were looking at probably like a 76 gig SSD to just be your boot drive, and that was a couple $100.
Yeah, that was when the 32s and 64s were hitting the consumer market.
Yeah. You just use that as your boot drive.
Yeah,
everything else was storage.
Yeah, my home boot drive was a 64 gig OCZ.
Yeah.
So. Oh my god. All right, what do we got for beer today?
So we got something very fresh. It is fresh hop season here.
It's the most wonderful time
here in Oregon
of the year.
We get, unfortunately, it's kind of the most wonderful and the worst. You have pumpkin beer.
Yes.
And you get fresh hop beer.
Oh, yes.
So, but fresh hop beer, for those that don't know it, beers.
John's a fan of the pumpkin beer, by the way.
I'm not a fan of it. I like tasting different beers. So I drink different beers, and pumpkins are just weird. So I like weird beers. I picked up a purple, like a blueberry creamsicle IPA today. Yeah, it costs like $6 for a pint. Yeah.
Better than will be good.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. I don't know. So, but I picked it up just because it's weird. But so what fresh hops are, if people don't know, is
Oh, hold on. My there we go.
Your logo.
Logo was
there.
on.
We go. Is most beers hops go through a kettling where they get dry, dehydrated, and the oils that cover the flour usually dry out. What these are is they take directly from the hop farm. Most of the time, actually, they'll even say how long they've been just picked, and these have both been picked for 1 hour. So they've only been off the vine 1 hour before they went directly into a beer. So it has this very oily, grassy, aromatic tendency to it. So if you don't like IPAs, you won't like fresh hops. And if you don't like extreme IPAs, you really won't like
won't like these.
So this should give this really big, grassy, aromatic, citrusy notes.
Myself, I am a fan of that punch.
Yeah.
Smack you in the mouth.
This is that punch where you can get that really hoppiness and you don't have to have a high ABV or hop them out because those oils are so fresh.
Yes.
But the problem is those usually overtake the subtle flavors of a lot of like tropical things. So
you lose some of the citrus, the grapefruit.
Citrus and grapefruit, yeah. So we have 2 beers today. We have Fort George's Fresh IPA.
Which I was looking at this in the store and I almost bought the 4-pack when I was there last time. I was restocking a couple bottles in the liquor cabinet and they had the Fresh Hop IPA. And I almost picked this up myself. So. But I'm like, no, I've already got like $70 worth of liquor.
Yeah.
I don't need another 11.
I went to the brew store today and I was like, I'm going to spend $20. I got to pick up some beers for the show, maybe 1 or 2 for myself. I left spending $45.
That's how every trip goes. I'm at the store and it's like, well, I only have 3 bottles of gin at home and I like to have 4. So.
Yeah, I know. And then we have Ordnance Brewing, which is here in Oregon. Their EOD Imperial Fresh Hop IPA.
And I hadn't seen this one yet.
No, this is a brand new one. So the EOD is actually, we've had it at the tap room before, but they've never done the fresh hop. And
okay.
It's a really nice IPA.
Well, what's really funny is you say they don't need that high ABV. This is still a 7.8 and a 6.4.
Oh yeah,
they're not light beers.
They're not
by any
light
means.
beers,
yeah.
but you don't need it to have. You can have a session fresh hop IPA and still taste very hoppy.
Yeah, these also aren't the 9%.
No, they're not the 9-10%. They're not like the Stone drink by fresh beers that are usually 9 to 10%.
Yes.
So. Which one do you want to try?
Let's dive into the Fort George.
All right.
I'm always a sucker for a Fort George.
All right. You might be careful. That was the one that dropped.
Okay. Yep. Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Thank you, John.
As I'm like walking to his house. Hey, you're fine.
We're good. Now that this desk hasn't been abused enough already.
Where'd that green paint come from?
It's actually a blue, and it's for the dye for the Dishonored mod behind me.
Caught that in time.
Well, one of us nailed the pour.
That's fine. I like to have a little bit in my can.
That's right. So you can't really see it on camera, but right there, you'll see like this greenish blue color on my desk. That's now permanent, and that's going to stay. So I was putting together the Dishonored mod last week, or 10 days ago or something like that. I was filling the loop, and the thing about this case mod is it's mostly practical. Like, you can put the case together and use it as a daily system and swap parts in and out. It's fairly easy to do that kind of thing on this case. The problem is the filling of the liquid loop is not the easiest thing in the world. I have to fill it from the bottom. I have a drain hose that I use basically a siphon system with a funnel to use like barometric pressure to fill the loop with. So I hold this tube up and I fill the tube, and that pushes down into the reservoir, and then I turn the pump on and cycle stuff through to get it into the rads. It works pretty well, but once the loop is full of liquid, you can't add the dye. So I have this little relief valve on the top of the reservoir just for the dye. And what it is it's a hose on 2 ends with a T-junction that goes up. And so the way I added my dye is I sucked it into like this 50cc little dropper, and then I was filling it with that. Well, so I was filling it up and squeezing it in, filling up, squeezing it in, and whatnot. And I think I got a little overzealous with one of my squirts, And it only drips into the reservoir so quickly because it's got like this 45 followed by a 90, so it can backflow on itself pretty easy. So I'm filling it up with that dropper and whatnot, and I got the color that I want, and so I close it. I go to close the fitting back on, and I pull my hand out, and it just blew. And I went, oh no. And I grabbed the fitting again, and it's just like oily and caked with that stuff. And so I overflowed that fitting, and it dripped all down the inside of the case and all through the bottom vents. and I pull the case back, and there's like this puddle about this big. And I went, oh no!
Well, you can always sand it, I guess.
Yeah, it is an unfinished desk, so there's a good and a bad about it. The good is it looks really beautiful. Yeah. The bad is if you drop anything on it, instant stain. Yeah. And so this is what I managed to get off of it. But, yeah. So that was fun. Anyway. Beer news. What do we got for beer news this week?
So, we have, I mean, this is just ridiculous, but who doesn't want to sit there and drink a bunch of beer? If you have a big party, you know, especially at colleges, and you're like, you know what? I'm wasting time carrying around all these 12-packs. Yeah.
It's just so, I mean, you gotta
so inconvenient for me, you know. Where am I gonna find a solution for it?
Well, John, have I got a deal for you.
So,
if you're a fan of Natty Ice and blackout drunkenness.
That's right. Natty Ice. Actually, you're right. Natty Light.
Natty Light.
Natty Light. So
I got a figure to watch.
Oh, yeah, exactly. We'll sell you a 77-pack of beer in an octagon case. So this actually is Anheuser-Busch promotion for the anniversary of Natural Light, which premiered back in 1977. So that's where the 77 12-ounce cans of Natural Light will come in. I couldn't find a price for this.
Neither could I. I did look.
Yeah, I did look, and the good part / bad part is it's only sold at one place in Maryland.
Okay.
So you can only get it there. So it's a limited time. I don't know why.
I can just imagine the presidential limo pulling up and then dropping 2 of these into the trunk.
God, that would be hilarious. I think the other one I saw was...
It's a good beer. The best.
Yeah, right. The best.
The best.
Anheuser-Busch... No, Pabst. Pabst did something similar, I think, last year or a year before. But it was in Canada, to where they released a 99 4x4 box. Yeah. Of Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Right, and it was 99 bottles of beer.
And it was 99 bottles of beer or cans on the wall. Yeah. And they had a picture of a guy taking it away, and he needed a truck. It was teetering over his truck bed. Yeah. And shot into the sky. And it's this huge long thing. I'm curious how much this thing weighs. You're basically buying almost a keg.
Yeah, it's almost a keg of beer.
It's almost a keg of beer, and you're just buying this keg of beer in a cardboard box, which I'm pretty sure you can't just carry. I'm betting you need a pallet.
No.
But it's just ridiculous. Yeah. Would I buy it? I might.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you... Well, I don't think you'd need a pallet, because 77 cans is... You figure 2 cases is 48. Yeah. I can carry 2 cases easily. I can carry 3 cases. That's 72. So, I mean, you're looking 3 plus a 6-pack is all you're looking at.
Well, 224s is
it's heavy.
It's heavy.
It's heavy.
And I guess the distribution. I guess it's really all about distribution.
Right.
Maybe that first initial lift would be really hard, but I think holding on to it would be fine.
Yeah. So long as they don't use chintzy cardboard.
Yeah.
So you're doomed, is what we're saying.
Yeah. So, some other news, some interesting news, if you're a hockey fan.
Yeah.
The Capital...
There's literally dozens of you.
Yeah. Speaking of Canada, the Capital One Arena, which is in Washington, D.C. I believe this is where the Stanley Cup was held this year.
Yes, I believe so.
They have been doing some remodeling, and they will now be having self-service food and self-served beer stations.
Yep.
A 12-tapped beer station will be available for people to go and serve yourself one of the 12 Anheuser-Busch rotating taps. Although Anheuser-Busch does own quite a lot of beers. They own Goose Island, you know, they own Elysian. So if either one of those was there...
Yeah, a little space dust for you.
Space dust, I would be fine. Goose Island IPA, I'll take that.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I'm sure 4 or 5 of those 12 taps are Bud Light, you know, whatever the other Coors Light, you know. Yeah. But the funny thing was, it wasn't in this article. There was another one. I think it was this one that I posted. Oh, sorry, 17 taps.
Yeah.
That said that after the QR code works, so you scan your QR code on your receipt and you pick up the plastic cup and you fill it up. It says the tap does allow for a few extra ounces for foam and overpouring. So if you had 2 cups, it'll still allow you to put that extra one in there. So they said it was kind of this nice little, like, here's a little cheat factor.
Yeah, nice.
So, but they're testing that out. I always really like that. I've never been to one of those self-service tap rooms.
Neither have I, yeah.
It's illegal here in Oregon where we live.
Yep.
My brother in Florida, though, he went to one for his birthday, and he said it was too easy to overspend because it's literally just you put down a tab. You can either put down like I want to. Here's my
credit card.
Here's my credit card, or I only want the X amount to spend. And he did the whole just here's my credit card. Let's open up a tab.
Yeah.
And he went to almost every tab, just just lets you pour it. And what it does is it actually keeps track of your ounce count that flows through. You have a little card with a QR code that's basically, you know, snapped to your account or tab, and it tracks the ounces, and then what you're pouring, it calculates how much is per ounce.
Yeah.
So when I did open the tap room, I did like, I would love to have something like that because I wouldn't have to hire any employees.
Yeah. Just John sitting there on a laptop. Yep. It would be nice.
Which sounded just like my regular day at the tap room.
Yeah. This is pretty good.
This is really good. You know, it's not as aromatic as I would expect.
No, it's very grassy, like you said. It's got it's not real bitter, and that's the thing that's surprising to me. It's a sweeter hop.
Well, the fresh hopping doesn't add bitterness. It's all aromatic. That's really what it is. It's aromatic and this oiliness that kind of starts coating your mouth, and then so it's not more bittering. It's more like, I just feel like I chewed on grass. And so every sip and then even afterwards, that grassiness kind of
it just kind of stays with you.
Kind of just lingers.
Yep.
And so that's usually what fresh hops are. Unfortunately, there's a couple of really cool fresh hop beer festivals that do come to town. And after like the 4th or 5th beer you sample, everything just tastes the same because you got coated so much.
Yep.
It's pretty bad. Some other beer news. We're just kind of going to go right through these.
Rapid fire,
because we got some more important things to talk about.
That's right.
We do like our beer.
That's right.
Lagunitas, unfortunately, has cut 100 employees.
12% of their staff.
And even sadder news is that they're going to start brewing Newcastle Brown. For Newcastle Brown. The Heineken Brew Company, who actually owns Lagunitas, which is in California, and also owns Newcastle Brown, they will now, Lagunitas will now take over the main brewing of Newcastle Brown. So you can now thank Lagunitas for crappy dyed brown ale.
There were a couple brighter points to this article.
There was.
And that is Decante and Dos Equis. They're both debuting new labels this year. Decante is dropping a bigger, boozier 7.5% 24-ounce bomber of their Decante Titanium. And Dos Equis is debuting a new Mexican Pale Ale, which actually I might be interested to try.
And I love the name. I love the name, yes.
It's a... with a new can design for its lager especial that reads "Mexico is the shit."
that was the best part. Yeah. So it was kind of an interesting article because it hit so many different topics. But it all had to do with the Heineken brewery company being owned. So sad news about that. Kind of interesting news in the world of Mexican lagers.
Yes.
So
What's next?
So, we can... Do you want to skip that one? Or just
Let's go ahead and skip it. Let's go ahead and get into
It wasn't really that cool. I mean,
yeah.
It was just... It was actually pretty slim pickings for beer news this week.
Yes. We'll touch on it for like 30 seconds.
Yeah. So, another quick thing. We've always talked about a lot of interesting beers that have been made by interesting ingredients. This one's actually kind of pretty cool because it is a beer made from basically
discarded bread.
Discarded bread, yeah. So stuff that usually gets discarded at restaurants or other places.
Bakeries. In high school, I worked in a bakery, and my job at the end of the day was to take the day-old fresh French bread and donuts and muffins and cupcakes and things like that, and set them aside and mark them down for like 80% off, and go, does someone want day-old fresh bread for like 30 cents?
Yeah.
And then if they didn't sell that day, you throw them away.
You throw them away. And so this brewery decided they're going to make a beer out of this, where most beers are usually made with grain and everything. They're getting a lot of their flavor from bread. Mm-hmm. And what they're doing is toasting it in a pizza oven.
Right.
And to get this kind of the sugars.
I've got the hiccups all of a sudden. I apologize.
Last time you were on, you had the hiccups.
Yeah.
But they're getting some nice sugars out of it, whatever the remaining sugars are in this toastiness, and they're actually saying is a pretty good beer. Mm-hmm. Even their customers, I looked it up. It actually doesn't get that bad of a rating. It's like a 3.5, 3.6,
3.7. Yeah.
Yeah. So and it's just a pale ale.
Yep.
But they're also stating that this kind of is a waste not, promotional program.
Yeah. It's a company of it was Scotland, right?
Yes.
Yeah. It's a No Waste Scotland, I believe, was the initiative. And so they're taking discarded food and recycled products, and they're making them new again, and they're taking that philosophy with the beer, and
yeah,
it's kind of cool.
I think that's great too, and if it actually seems to be getting pretty decent reviews.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if someone started like thinking of doing something like that. I mean, that's an Oregon thing. If that is not Oregon,
oh yeah,
that is Oregon. So,
jeez,
God, you're gonna sound like a little schoolgirl talking about all this stuff now.
Okay.
All right. Let's see you get through this one now, Jeff.
On to the news of the week with the dodecahedron. Okay, so Intel.
I cast thee.
Monday night.
Right.
Sevens. Released or announced the release of the i9-9900k, the i7-9700k, and the i5-8600k. I wish they would come up with a better naming scheme at this point.
God, right. How many?
But at the same time, this is just recycled Nehalem 9 generations later, so I understand for not naming it anything different. Anyway, we'll go over the processor specs really quick. So the i9-9900k is an 8-core, 16-thread, 95-watt TDP chip, base frequency of 3.6, and a turbo frequency of 5.0, although we will come back to that later. 16 megs of L3 cache, and 2666 DDR4 RAM support. The i7-9700K, which is their i7 SKU, which has traditionally been a hyper-threaded SKU, is no longer hyper-threaded, but they did bump the core count by 2. So it's now, instead of a 6-core, they've got an 8-core CPU, but only 8 threads. Again, that 95-watt TDP, 3.6 and 4.9 boost, and 12 megs of L3 cache. Then there's the i5-9600K, which is a 6-core, 6-threaded CPU, 95 watts, at a 3.7 base and a 4.6 boost, with 9 megs of L3 cache. So, we all know, at this point, this is a pretty minor, feeble step jump, frequency jump for their existing processors. The nice thing is they've done away with the thermal interface compound, or thermal interface material, the TIM, the really, really god-awful thermal paste that Intel applied since Ivy Bridge. Ivy Bridge, I believe, was the first non-soldered chip that they produced for quite a long time. So since the 3000 series, this is the first soldered heat spreader.
Okay.
That's on the die. I can't say who I heard it from, and I can't say what the results were.
Yes.
Well, I'll give you some base results. I was seeing at stock frequencies temperatures touching the 90s.
That's not right.
With a 360 mil liquid cooler. I'm not going to cite my source. I'm not going to cite who I saw that from. I'm not going to cite anything like that. But I can tell you,
that's warm.
These are hot chips.
Yeah,
that's very hot chips.
That's very hot. That's good 20 degrees.
Very reminiscent of the last time that AMD was kicking the living hell out of Intel. That's the Athlon 2000 days with the Pentium 4s. And all of a sudden Intel goes, oh, we'll just glue two processors together and we'll call it a Pentium D. and all of a sudden you have 95C at normal stock frequencies.
Yeah, normal temperature. That was when you could heat your bedroom with that.
with that Prescott Pentium 4 early Pentium D days.
I mean, the college kids loved that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I loved it because I was in college at the time.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to pay for heat.
Exactly.
I just let my system idle in my 195 square foot apartment.
Yeah. Oh, that was that. Yeah, that's how you do it.
So, yeah. Very, very hot running chips. I can't cite my source. You'll learn about it here in the next couple of weeks, though. So that's not the news of the day. We'll get on to the next release, which is the high-end desktop SKUs that were also announced at Intel's press event. Let me open my link there. There we go. And this is the X299 parts. And I'm not going to go through the full list, but there's the i7-9800X, which is the entry-level 8-core, 16-thread. They've done away with a 6-core chip at this point. There are only 8-core on the X299 and up. And all of the chips are now 165 watts instead of the entry levels being 120 watts. So, again, they're overclocking their base numbers a little bit, starting at 3.8 gigahertz with a 4.5 boost. You go through the progression. Now, they did add a 10-core SKU, which is kind of interesting considering these are all unlocked chips, and they're only 200 megahertz apart. So, who in the world is going to buy the 9900X over the 9820X? I really don't know.
For $100.
For $100 difference, and they're overclockable, which means, based on the Silicon Lottery, you'll either get beyond what the 9800X is, or pretty freaking close to it for $100 less. The 9920X is their 12-core SKU, and that comes in at about $1,250. And that is, again, 165 watt power. All of these are 165 with a 3.5 base and a 4.5 turbo.
They're all that.
Yeah, they're all 165. Yeah, they're all 165 TDP.
Well, they're mostly all the same frequency, too.
Right, going 14, 16, and finally the 18-core i9-9900k, which is just a rebrand of the 7980XE. Which is an 18-core, 36-thread, 165-watt TDP, 3 gigahertz base frequency with a 4.5 boost. Now, the 7980XE had a 2.5 base with a 4.2 boost, I want to say, if memory serves correctly. Mm-hmm. And it's got 24.75 megabytes of L3 cache. Okay.
I mean, that's part's nice, but...
So...
But for $2,000.
Now, these are not 7 nanometer parts, 10 nanometer parts. These are what they're calling 14 nanometer plus, or as I like to call 14 nanometer plus. Because how many iterations of the 14 nanometer process can you possibly come up with and still call it something different? So this is the Basin Falls Skylake X revision, and they're still calling it Skylake, by the way. So at least they've owned up to the fact that it's just a 7000 rebrand. Not an 8,000 or a 9,000 SKU. So, yeah. I was really shocked with the pricing on this. That they didn't come down from the previous generation at all.
No, it almost looks a couple $100 more.
In a couple instances, yeah, the SKUs are a couple $100 more.
Yeah.
For a 12-core, it was, I think a 10-core was $1,000, which is where it's at now.
Yeah.
But again, that's the price listed on an Antec is per 1,000 units, so your retail is going to be 10 to 15% higher than that.
Yeah.
So their 12-core, like I said, is coming in at about $1,250, all the way up to their 18-core, which was selling for $1,799. They're now at $1,979.
Yeah.
It's over $2,000 for the same processor.
Yeah.
On the same chipset that simply has a 500 megahertz boost to it, which, by the way, you could already overclock it to probably the same number.
But it doesn't have a cool decahedron case.
I don't know that this one will either.
I bet it will. It has to for that price.
It has to.
Why
Better come with a lot more than that.
Why else? I mean, that's where all the money's at.
Right.
That's where the money's spent.
So here's the justification for pricing from what I've gathered from Intel. Intel is afraid of dropping their prices of their high-end desktop SKUs too low to start cannibalizing their Xeon platform. Now, their Xeon platform owns like 95% of the server market.
Yeah.
And they've had zero competition from AMD. Even when AMD was great 10 years ago, they didn't have very much competition from AMD because Intel has always owned the Xeon chipset.
No, they've owned the server, yeah.
They've owned the server market for as long as I can remember.
Yeah, well, and that's where the bread and butter's really at.
Right.
Everyone thinks it's the home PC. It's not. Server farms are way better.
Yeah. Server farms are like, okay, that was a $2 billion? Okay, cool. Here you go.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Here's your next 15 years of R&D.
Right. So, yeah, server farms are their bread and butter. Here's the problem, is Intel is still acting like it's the dominant king of old. When, from what I've seen out of Epyc's going to kick the living crap out of Intel when it comes out at 7 nanometer this next year. Or December.
Yeah.
You can price your high-end desktop SKUs whatever you want and your Xeon SKUs whatever you want when you're the market leader and there's no competition. Intel has almost released this pretending that Threadripper doesn't exist.
Yeah.
They've released this pricing going la 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 la, and
I know it's very odd that why would Intel do this? I mean, it just as a business standpoint, even from any reason whatsoever, even if I took to an extreme of like I have insider things,
right?
I still cannot fathom like why they would do this. They have to have some guy reading a crystal ball, knowing all the AMD chips will somehow fail, and they're like, "Oh, we're good."
Right.
That's the only way this explains how they're moving. Otherwise, everything is completely illogical on a business standpoint.
Yeah. Yep.
And then AMD will just kick, like you were saying, they're going to have performance that are either at par, maybe a hair less, or a little bit better, but the price point of that is going to kick the crap out of it.
From what I've heard, it's going to be both. Really? They're going to kick the crap performance-wise and price-wise.
Yeah.
It's not going to be like, maybe I can go AMD, I spend 20% less and I get like 80% of the performance. No, it's going to be like, we're 20% better and we cost 30% less.
Maybe they're doing like the Ferrari versus the Nissan GTX. Like, yeah, the Nissan GTX, yeah. GTR, sorry. Yeah, it's
35 or 37.
I don't care. You're more car than I just like, I know that. But yeah, you want to have the Ferrari, but it's $2 million. Oh, but the Nissan GTX does the exact same thing for 2/3 the price.
That's right.
So, and you could probably actually have more fun with it.
Yep.
So, but it doesn't look as cool, it doesn't sound as cool.
Yep. And I will say, I live in a fairly small town, and there's a lot of small towns kind of dotting this area. So I was getting off the freeway one day, and there's an Ariel Atom V8 that pulled up behind me.
Oh.
And I went, holy crap. Like, oh my God. Yeah, like, I think we just don't see those around here.
No.
And like I said, it was the V8. And I was like, oh, that was cool. That's like for around this area, it's like a once in a lifetime thing to see.
Yeah.
3 days later, there was a Ferrari 599 that pulled up on that same road behind me.
All right, so you know someone has it around here.
So someone got lucky very, very close to me, and they are living the high life, man.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
I've also seen like 5 Model 3s.
Really?
The Tesla Model 3. Like all of a sudden they're everywhere.
I thought you like when you said Model 3, I thought Model T.
Model T, no.
Yeah,
no, I've seen like 5 or 6 of them this week.
Oh,
all of a sudden they popped up.
I see those all the time. My office is right next to a Tesla wrap area, so they're always driving them up and down my road.
Okay.
It's I see Teslas all the time.
Anyway,
but yeah, it just seems like they're doing crap.
Right now, we all know. I know. You know. Everyone knows the 87. What processor do you buy if you're going to be a gamer? If you're going for top tier gaming, what do you buy today?
Right now, I'm probably going to buy an Intel.
You buy the Intel 8700K because it is the bee's knees. It beats everything on the market. It is the single fastest.
If I had the money,
Well, not even that. It's a $350 processor, so it's not insanely expensive, but it is the fastest single-threaded processor on the market, and that's what you buy for gaming. The 9900K came out with better boost clocks, going up to 5 gigahertz, soldered on TIM, so you don't have to worry about delidding and heating and all that kind of stuff, allegedly. But we know if all you do is remake the 8700K with 200 megahertz faster, nothing's going to beat it still.
No.
Which brings up the really curious point as to why Intel commissioned a review of the 9900K 10 days ahead of their NDA for any third-party independent reviewers who didn't have a, hey, turn on game mode for the Ryzen chips initiative from Intel.
Yep.
Why do you need to sugarcoat and pad your results?
Yeah.
I don't understand. So if you don't know what we're talking about, you haven't been on YouTube the last couple days. No. But during the Intel press event in New York, there was a company that released a set of benchmarks, which was then vetted and reposted by Intel. And it's an Intel commissioned review, so they paid for this review study to be done.
Everyone knew that. It wasn't hidden.
It's literally sentence 2 in the review.
Yeah.
Where this is a study of the 9900K in gaming compared to relative competition, a study commissioned by Intel.
Yeah.
And so they didn't hide the fact, they didn't hide their settings or anything like that. But it's just really curious as to the results. And I am not going to sit here and hammer on Principled Technologies, which is the name of the company.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I'm not going to hammer on them because you're a company, you're trying to make a buck, you're trying to release information, you've been commissioned to do a review. I understand that.
And by Intel, who's probably, if you do a good job, you're probably going to get more from them.
Right.
You know.
Exactly.
You're in the industry to make money just like everyone else.
Right. And so everyone always craps on paid reviews. I don't necessarily, because sometimes they can explore use cases that you didn't otherwise think of.
Yeah.
Or they could say, this is specifically what we built this product to do. Can you explore that?
Yeah.
And as long as the review is still unbiased, I'm perfectly fine with paid reviews or sponsored reviews or commissioned reviews, whatever you want to call it. In this case, as someone who has done system reviews, looking at the results that were obtained by Principled Technologies, I immediately became suspect.
Well, it looked, even just the results that they posted.
Mm-hmm. And up to a 50% gain over Ryzen 2700X.
Yeah, it was just like, no. I was just like, okay, let me see. Wait, where's the Ryzen? Why is it down here?
Right.
What? It's the specs that they show.
Why is the 2700X getting its butt kicked by the 2990WX Threadripper chip?
Yeah.
Why is it losing to every single Intel chip in every single test, including tests that were built by AMD for the Ryzen chip?
Exactly. And it was just like, okay, it was 40% versus the maximum one. Oh, well, if you compare today's what Intel has now, the Ryzen's not too bad.
Right.
That's where you get the 15-20% difference. No.
So I'm gonna steal that real quick.
Yeah, go ahead and take over.
So anyway, so here is the PDF that was released by, I always forget the name, Principled Technologies. I always have to think about it. Principled Technologies. So they tested a 9900K, an 8700K, 8086K, which is kind of redundant. The 9980XE, which, why did you test that one? Because that one's not even out for another month and a half. So why do you have access to that one? The 9900X, 2700X from Ryzen, 2990WX, and 2950X. And they tested 19 games.
Across the board.
Right, and the thing that they said is we're trying to eke out what the performance was for what gamers actually play. Okay, so you tested 1080p settings. I get that. And that's where you're going to see CPU bottlenecks at.
Well, that's not bad because, that's your average gamer.
But they tested at medium to high settings.
Why? No.
With an 8700K and a 1080 Ti.
Okay, wait, that doesn't make sense. Why you would want to max things out?
Right.
Why would you let's just middle of the ground it?
Right. So that their theory was they're trying to introduce a CPU bottleneck. Okay, you've already done that by going to 1080p. We already know that as a reviewer who does reviews on games and hardware. We already know that at 1080p, your CPU is your bottleneck. Period. End of discussion. So why they decided to go at like medium to high settings, probably to exacerbate what the difference was. And so already your testing methodology is skewed towards the higher spec CPU, which I can kind of see. But the thing is, if you're gaming at medium settings with a 1080 Ti, you ain't gaming with a 1080 Ti and an 8700K.
Yeah, you're going to be sitting there like, I have 5th generation, crap that you probably found at Goodwill or some
You've
Craigslist
got a
ad.
4th or 5th generation i5, and you've got a 1050 that you just bought.
Yeah, exactly.
That's your 1080p medium to high settings.
Yeah, and you're like, I want to play Doom.
Right. You're not going to spend $3,000 on a PC, or like my Dishonored build, not including the mod. That's a $2,000 PC with an 8700K and a 1070 Ti. So
he runs that on medium too.
That's right. Oh, low? Are you kidding me? That thing doesn't have the chops.
That's the only way it works.
Right. So we already know that the results are a little bit skewed. How skewed is shocking. And I've reported on this show before that the 2700X clock for clock is only about 5% slower than the 8700K. Now the 8700K had the advantage because it clocks higher. It can hit 5 and 5.1 gigahertz, whereas the 2700X maybe tops out at 4.3, 4.4.
But it was relatively close enough to like,
right, but at 4.4,
yeah,
it's equivalent to an 8700K, or within the margin of error in most cases.
Yeah.
Where you're not going to notice anything. So when I see results with a clock for clock, and it's 24% slower, or 51% slower, or 49% slower, or 34% slower, or 13,600%.
Which is, this is where the numbers are like,
right.
What?
Or 17% slower.
Everything contradicts everything that has been coming out in articles of Ryzen's.
Right.
Of look how much we're kicking the crap out of Intel.
And what I have experienced.
And it's not even you. Other YouTubers, other people are saying, look at this benchmark. Here's a base version of the crappiest PC I can come up with, and here's an AMD in it, and here's an expensive one. Yep. It's still kicking the crap out of Intel.
Yep. So, part of me is tempted to redo their testing with my 2700X. We'll get to that momentarily, because Principal Technologies did respond to the criticism. In fact, they responded the exact right way they should.
Yeah.
With open arms, ask us questions.
Yeah.
Ask us questions, we'll answer as honestly as possible.
They literally sat down and filmed it and said,
right.
Hey, what do you want to say?
So
I will answer.
So yesterday afternoon, they actually sat down with Steve from Gamers Nexus and did a 45-minute long interview. And they answered pretty much as honestly as they could. And quite honestly, I bought it. I don't have any less respect for Principal than I did before. In fact, I probably went up a little bit based on their interview. A lot of people are crapping on them for their testing methodology or whatnot. The thing is, you test... When you get into testing, sometimes you're looking for a result. And sometimes you want to show the result. And sometimes you might skew your testing methodology to show a result, to exacerbate that result. Yeah. And I get that. When I test a 1050 graphics card, I'm not testing at ultra settings because that's not realistic. I test at medium to say, yes, the 1050 is a good card because, look, you can game at 1080p 60 FPS.
And it still looks great.
But at medium settings.
Yeah.
And so I fully understand trying to show a variance in your results.
I get that.
Right. But... now, turning on game mode, that was inexperience on their part. That was total inexperience and possibly Intel-led.
His response to that answer was a bit shady. It was one of the parts I didn't really get of him saying, well, I don't think gamers do it that way.
Right.
It was my understanding gamers do this.
Well, what he said, and again, to their credit, they're used to testing OEM hardware and server grade stuff.
Yeah.
They're not used to testing gaming and getting gaming results, which is probably why Intel picked them. But on the Threadripper, for like the 2990WX, you turn on game mode because it disables one of your CCX units, which halves your core count. But the thing is, some games will actually lock up and freeze and refuse to boot or show unexpected results.
Yeah, black
if you have 32 cores and 64 threads enabled.
It won't know what to do with them.
It literally doesn't know what to do, so it stops.
Yeah, you got nothing here because the game wasn't designed for this.
Right, so if you turn on game mode, it disables 1CCX, it halves your memory bandwidth, but allows the game to play. And they said, since we found good results with game mode on Threadripper, we applied that to Ryzen. And it's a logical assumption to make, but it was the wrong move without testing it. Yeah. And the thing is, they didn't test it. And they've actually said they're going to go back and test those results with game mode disabled and go into creative mode on Ryzen Master and republish their results. So they have actually said, we're going to double back and we're going to test that again.
They'll do that, but will Intel publish it and push it as hard as ever? They may publish it, but...
Intel will not.
Exactly. But I don't think it'll get enough traction because it'll get buried by Intel.
Right.
Because they'll just take headlines and plaster this new stuff, the original one, over that one.
Right. So the reason this is controversial is not that Intel is padding their stats or Intel paid for a review or Intel is stacking the deck in their favor. That crap happens all the time. And quite honestly, I'm fine with it. If I'm a marketing manager for Intel,
that's how you do
that's my freaking job.
Yeah.
It is my job to say I am 50% better than any competition at any point at any given point in time. And I can prove it, and here's the results.
Yep.
That's my job. I don't think that's shady at all. What I think is shady is Intel allowing Principled Technologies to review the products and release their results 10 days early and then publishing them as a third-party result to their main website 10 days before their NDA on third-party independent reviews.
Yeah.
That's what I think is shady. It is not that they padded a review or said, hey, turn game mode on for Ryzen or anything like that. It's the fact that we don't have any genuine third parties to vet that information.
Yeah.
And that is sketchy. And there's a couple people who have said we got our Intel samples non NDA free. We didn't.
Oh yeah,
we didn't sign an NDA.
And they were told there's like you can't release this. The people that did were told you can't release this till 10 days or 11 days later. And they were like, honestly, we're gonna have to we're gonna respect that probably because they want to keep getting the product that they're getting.
But here's the thing. If I see a review come out like this, and I see Intel pushing that hard with misinformation and intentionally misleading information, and I don't have an NDA and no legal consequence for publishing my results, I'm publishing my results.
Yeah, that's hard though, because if you that was like your first Intel finally gave me a break. That's hard to say.
Well, it's hard, but the thing is, Intel wouldn't give me a CPU NDA free. No, they're not going to give anyone a CPU NDA free.
They might find out who gave that to you.
Right, but there are CPUs in the wild. But the thing is, if you want to be a genuine trusted media outlet,
I agree.
Then you don't worry about that.
Yes, I get that, and that's great. But if that is your bread and butter, and you're making a literal living, you do have to start thinking about that type of stuff. I
have to start thinking about that.
Exactly. You're going to have to start. If that happened to you, you could sit there and think, this actually could jeopardize something of mine, or I can sit there and follow everyone else, and everyone knows, okay, if I need to, I can hold back. Or you could be the wild gun guy, you
But again, here's my problem with all of this. The 9900K is the best gaming CPU that's ever been made. It was going to beat the competition by 10 to 15%, hands down, bar none, out of the box, no overclock. Why are you padding your results? The thing is, when you have the better product, you don't have to pad your results. You don't have to bump your own numbers up because independent reviews speak for themselves. And so if you're commissioning a review 10 days early, ahead of your own NDAs and publishing that to your website and publishing intentionally misleading information on how they tested and what the methodology was, and you're literally crippling the competition in those tests, that's shady as hell.
Yeah, it's not great. But I don't know, maybe they weren't thinking their price point was really going to impress too many people, so they just
and their price point is high.
It's really high. I don't. Maybe they actually were scared by AMD. That's the thing. Maybe they were.
Intel is terrified from AMD.
Because I mean, we talked about months ago. AMD was doing some really great PR over them.
And here's the thing. I've said on the show, the 2700X is only about 5% off of the 8700K clock for clock in equivalent tests. The 2700X costs $300. The 9900K is a $530 SKU.
Yeah.
$498 if you buy them in quantities of 1,000. So Intel's already almost doubling the price of the 2700X and going, well, yeah, that's our equivalent competition. If that's your equivalent competition, you're doing something wrong.
Oh, yeah, that's the thing. Well,
and again, when independent reviews come out and go, oh yeah, Intel's faster, but only by about 12%, and they go, but the 2700X is half the price.
Yeah.
Oh, and it comes with a pretty freaking good cooler too. By the way, with Intel, you got to buy a Noctua NDH14 to get those kind of results. Which, again, I'm not going to slam on methodology, but they use stock coolers versus third-party coolers, but whatever.
It's ridiculous. I think throughout the next year or two, you're still going to see Intel doing the whole, we're the best in the business.
Right.
You can't beat us, and that is true.
Yes.
Hands down, performance for performance, not price for price, but performance for performance. Intel will win.
Intel will win. They win today.
They win today.
However, they're starting to lose their ground at the lower end of the market too, where the Ryzen 2200G beats the 83 or 8100 in a lot of tests.
Yeah, and then
and has a GT1030 graphics card integrated into it basically. For $100.
It's sweet.
Yeah, it's an amazing deal.
Sweet deal.
So
exactly. You're going to be paying half the price. I can buy a sweet case, probably a cooler, a water cooler for that $250 you're going to save.
Yeah.
You know, I can do all the overclocking I want.
Yep.
And be fine.
Exactly. So now Intel is doing exactly what they shouldn't do at all the wrong moments.
Yeah.
They are running scared from AMD. They are pretending like AMD doesn't exist and continuing with old business practices rather than getting competitive. And I think we talked about on the show last week with Steve that Barclays has reduced their estimates of Intel price stock from 52 down to 38.
Yeah.
And said
this is actually big.
And said increased competition from AMD is going to force one of two things. It's going to force a price war, which Intel won't win, or it's going to force a basically a race to performance, which Intel's not likely to win.
No.
And so
they're way too far behind.
Right.
Well, I am curious though. Then that makes me think: where is AMD getting the? Now it's all probably the dies that they're doing. But how cheap they're able to sell these at.
Yeah.
How much profit are they actually making off of these? Or are they just trying to stick it to Intel to get to the second, third generation to when people will start buying it? And that's where they're going to make most of their profit.
Right. Honestly, like I said, Intel is pretending like AMD doesn't exist. They're pretending like they are still the undisputed market leader, and that's not the case anymore.
No, you literally have this up-and-comer who's right on your trail for half the budget.
The Amazon top 10 list of CPUs has 7 AMD CPUs and 4 Intel CPUs.
Yeah.
That tells you how much the market has shifted. From 18 months ago, it was 9 Intel CPUs and the 8350FX.
Oh, yeah. No, it's... I know, was it like 2-3 years ago?
Which, by the way, the 8350FX is still on the top 10 bestsellers of Amazon for CPUs today.
It's a great piece.
18 months later.
CPU.
Yeah, it's a good CPU. It's by far not the best value.
No. So.
We have 8 cores. No, you don't.
No.
Sorry, I want to answer one question. My 7900X is stable at 4.5. Do I need to upgrade to a 9900X? No.
That's great.
It's literally the same processor, but like 200 megahertz faster on the base clock and the same overclock potential. No. Skip it. Until Intel does something different architecturally, stay. If you have an Ivy Bridge processor, if you have a 3770K, my advice to you today is either jump to Ryzen or stay. Period. End of discussion.
You could sell your CPU, probably afford the Ryzen, and get a couple cash.
Right.
Hold money.
Yep.
And you probably wouldn't miss any performance issues.
Because Intel, year over year, has only increased about 5 to 7%.
15.
And so if you go back to 2012, we're talking 6 years, yeah, you're 20% slower, but you're still going to be able to play every single game today, and it's not worth the price of upgrading to a new Intel SKU. So, don't.
Yeah.
Period. End of discussion. All right. So, speaking of AMD making a push for broader horizons.
Trying to beat the crap out of Intel some more.
So, this one I saw a couple of weeks ago, and it was really sketchy information, so I didn't publish it. Mm-hmm. This is a second source and a little bit more reliable source. And a little bit more compelling evidence. So, still got those hiccups.
Man, it just came right back at you.
Yeah, I was fine for like 20 minutes.
I know.
So Chiphell has leaked, again, an AMD Rome Cinebench score. So go ahead and click on that image real quick. There we go. You're not going to be able to read this very well, but that's a 12,779 Cinebench score on what's called a dual-channel 128-core 256-thread CPU. Now,
translated from Chinese.
Right. Now, in layman's terms... Thank you for joining us on Talking Heads, episode 53. We're going to call it a night.
This isn't YouTube skipping. This isn't an audio sync issue. It's just Jeff.
It's just Jeff.
It's that classic drug. Oh, AMD. Yeah.
It's
Intel.
It's been 12 ounces.
It was that ginger beer. With all that spice.
Yeah. Well, it was good ginger beer. Ooh, that's still good.
That's kind of an interesting conflicting flavors, too, I would think.
No, try it.
Ooh, spicy.
Yeah. It's a very spicy beer. It doesn't conflict at all.
No, it's actually pretty good.
Like, hold on.
The last little bit of it kind of mixed some ginger and hops.
That's right. Now we got a hazy IPA. Look at that.
Oh, look at that. I've had only like maybe a handful of beers with good ginger flavor.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that's actually not too bad. That's really not that bad.
like a shanty in the summer? That's what that is.
That is like that, yeah. Steve and I had this barley wine that was a ginger one. Oh my gosh. You can check it out on Hops and Brews and on a YouTube channel. It's a very nice little fun little YouTube channel.
It's linked down in the video description.
But that actually tasted... I haven't had too many good ginger beers, but that was actually really good. It was like a nice like a ginger shandy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was good.
Maybe in the summer I'll make one.
Anyway, so I didn't report on this earlier on because the evidence was really sketchy.
No hiccups.
They showed a final result, which I can fake a final result. What we see here is, going to click on that image again, is a dual processor, 128 core, 256 threads. So that's two 64 core, 128 thread CPUs. Running Cinebench and literally setting the all-time record.
Yeah, which is still sketchy though.
The thing is, they actually analyzed the photographs, and there's actually some rolling shutter in the photographs, and the top of the photo is different from the bottom of the photo. And photoshopping that level of detail and exactly 256 threads is almost impossible.
Okay.
I mean, the level of detail you'd have to go into fake this picture makes it not worth it. So that they determined that we cannot find any artifacting or anything else, plus we see evidence of rolling shutter in some of the render results. We believe this is genuine, and I tend to believe them. So AMD in their labs, and we've known this for a long time, has a 64 core, 128 thread Epyc CPU pretty much ready to go.
It seems like that, yeah.
It is in the hand of third-party testers, and it is making leaks on the internet.
Yeah.
And literally setting all-time server records Now, for reference, the all-time Cinebench record is about 11,700, and that was set by 4 Intel Xeon Platinum CPUs. AMD's doing this with 2 chips.
Yeah.
So if you want to talk about server density, half. And when you're talking about data center, it's all about performance per square foot. It's not about per dollar. It's about how dense can we make that performance. Yeah. And AMD is on the cusp of literally taking Intel's lunch money.
Oh, yeah. We'll do this with half the space and 3/4 of the price.
Yep, exactly. This chip, probably $4,000, $5,000.
Yeah.
Somewhere right around there.
Where I think the Intels are running around 9 to 10.
They're running around 9 to 10. It's exactly right. For like the 56 CPU Xeon Platinums.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're running an insanely high price. 28 core times 2. They're running about $10,000 per chip. So you're talking $20,000 versus $16,000 maybe. So significant cost savings, significantly more dense, and literally beating Intel at their own game, which is data center. So, yeah, if you don't think Intel or AMD is a threat, you're wrong. You're wrong.
Unless for some awful reason this all is fake and crashes, but there is very little evidence to show that.
But there's also talk that they have 128 core in development.
Yeah, man. I mean, if you
256 thread, 256
what,
core, 512 thread on a single 2U.
What's AMD's stock right now?
Probably still lower than it should be, but they crossed $30.
Really? Yeah, I was gonna say I thought it was like the $26 mark.
No, they crossed $30, and they've been holding at like $32 recently, I believe.
That's still not bad.
So remember last year when they were at $5?
Man, how stupid are we?
I really thought about investing, and I didn't have the capital at the time to do it, and I didn't take out a loan or anything to do it, and I totally freaking should have. Yeah, no.
Here's $100,000, and I would have made $400,000 or $500,000 back.
Yeah.
That's Jeff's studio.
Well,
that's my year of income.
That's my house times 3. Are you kidding me? So yeah,
still even at $30, man. That's not horror. I mean, there's still room to grow. I know you know they're gonna grow.
Yeah.
Hell, even put in $20,000 right now, that'd be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll still see a return.
You'll still see a return.
There's no doubt there.
So anyone's got any money, give it to us.
Yep.
So we can invest it.
Yep.
You'll get 5%.
128 cores, but the human eye can only see 32.
The 256 thread.
Oh yeah, and by the way, I love the Tom pointed out. I love the shade that is going on about the 3175X Xeon processor, otherwise known as a Xeon Platinum 8180. and Hardware Unboxed did a great thing earlier today. They said so early numbers on the Xeon Platinum 8180 show a 3 gigahertz base clock with a 4.4 overclock. Oh, sorry, I said Xeon 8180. It's a 3175, and it's a totally different chip. It's not just a rebrand that we took the multiplier unlock on, guys. It's a totally different SKU.
No,
brand new engineering. This is totally not a sham in any way, shape, or form.
No. Oh God, that's stupid.
All right. So let's transition a little bit.
So that means new beer.
New beer.
That means new beer.
That's
so
right.
We have...
You new glasses or we're IPAs?
We're IPAs and it's fresh hop. That's all oily coated.
That's right.
So we're going to go a bit bigger beer. It is Ordnance Brewing's Fresh Hop EOD Double IPA. 7.8%. 80 plus.
Whoa.
I love how they say plus. So they have no idea. IBU.
Whoa. Smell that.
Whoa, that's a stank on that one. If you ever hear the term dank in a beer, this is dank right now. At least from that can.
There's skunky beer and then there's dank beer, and this is dank beer.
This is dank beer. This is a much more amber color.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah.
I did read that this beer is actually not traditionally fresh. It is, they brewed it regular.
Yeah.
And then they fresh hopped it.
Oh, really?
So it is the regular EOD with all the traditional.
It's the regular 6% EOD.
6% EOD, and they put it they have the standard dry hopping in it, and then they fresh hopped it again.
Wow. That explains the smell, actually. Now that you say that.
That's an interesting flavor. This tastes like Newcastle brown.
Whew. Yeah. Hold on.
I like Ordnance. I actually do. They're small.
I really do.
They're a small little brewery. I actually got to know, during the time of me owning the tap room, I actually got to know these guys very personally. I was the first one to actually even serve them in Salem, in the Willamette Valley. And so because of that, I became very good friends with them.
Wow.
Guys.
Not impressed.
Not impressed
Not
at
impressed.
all.
Yeah. I'm going to take back my comment. There's some skunk to this.
There's just something odd about this beer.
There's a...
I will say this. The original head brewer, his name was Logan. Mm-hmm. He left.
Oh, okay.
So this is probably his recipe, but not brewed by him.
Right.
So...
Yeah, there's a calling it skunk is too much.
No, well, it's not. Skunk usually has that.
It's not sour. It's not
that really bad Budweiser.
Yeah, it's not
that bottle room smell.
Yes,
that's skunk.
Yeah,
that's a light and temperature.
It's not stale. It's not anything like that.
It's just like a bad hop.
Yeah,
like whatever hop they use to wet hop this. The oils on it are bad. Now that's the other thing about wet hopping versus dry hopping. Actually, when you dry it, those oils, think of it like cooking, and you get that aromatic oils in something. This flavor, you can have Centennial hops and it'd be wet, and you're gonna get this really weird flavor. Where if it was a dry, you're gonna get this nice piney citrusy flavor.
Let's solve this with cocktails. I like your thinking.
I mean, I'm still gonna drink this.
Yeah, I'll drink it.
I'll drink. It's pretty harsh.
The smell is worse than the taste.
It is. That's what's bad. It's maybe about as soon as we get down to here, the aromatics won't be. That's the nice thing about these type of pint glasses is they're not designed for aroma,
and they don't hold a head.
They don't hold the head. So as soon as we get a little passed down, it's not gonna matter.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll start. We should get you the proper glassware for IPAs now, the one with the ridges.
All the bubbles.
The bubbles and that hold aromatic in through the whole entire time.
I've tried to get as much glassware as I can. I mean, John, how much glassware do I have?
Oh, I know. You have a lot of glassware.
Yeah. So, I try to have all the proper glassware at all the right times. I mean, I've got every kind of mug and glass.
You know how much that's going to be.
Yeah.
Where's the horn?
I
have one.
I've got the thin glasses, which kind of emulate that horn.
But it's not actual horn.
It's not an actual horn. I don't have a boot either.
Yes, I can give you one.
Yeah, I need a boot. I really need a boot.
I'll give you a boot.
Yeah,
it's a bit big.
Yeah, I'll set that on top.
I would love to see you do a review with that boot full, and then just slowly see throughout the benchmarks.
So by the way, John bought some boots. They're about this tall, and he served them at the tap room. And he offered boot sales, so you could buy a boot and you could down through the night.
Yeah.
Now John sold them as a growler fill.
I thought
at 64 ounces.
I could have swore when I bought them they said they were 64-ounce boots.
John, how many ounces were those?
They were 96.
96.
So I was losing money on it, and I was like, why is everyone getting drunk so fast?
Yeah.
I mean, 4 pints is still a lot, but so it was. I did.
Now I remember that cucumber cider that you got. Yeah, I got a boot to that, and I slammed that thing down.
Oh gosh!
Oh my god!
Yeah, that was bad. We used to do. I used to do every Sunday was $10 growler fills on select kegs because I needed to get rid of them.
Yeah.
So if you came in, you could either get a boot for $10 or a growler for $10, and a lot of people came in for boots.
Yep.
So you'd always see you come in on a Sunday, you see like 4 people.
You see 4 people going.
Yeah. was sitting there and just for like 2 hours sipping on this boot.
Yep.
And apparently they were having 2 extra pints for free.
Yeah. Yeah, an extra 32 ounces on the house.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it was a fun conversation.
Yep. So yeah, we finally go, these look a little big. Are you sure this is 64?
So we took a growler and we were like, oh,
it's only filled up to like there. Yeah. We've still got that much on top.
Well, that's the thing too. Everyone always thought, it's not that big because it wasn't tall. But the calf is just super wide.
That boot had some cankles to it.
Yeah, it really did. You would sit there and you would drink it, and I had so many big guys like, I could finish that, no problem. I did a couple of challenges, which I shouldn't have done with people, but I said, hey, if you finish this, I'll give it to you for free. If you finish this in an hour, I'll give it to you for free. Oh, I got this. They weren't even halfway done.
John doesn't have his OLCC license anymore, so it's fine. I'm sure we're past the statute of limitations. We're close.
We're close. No one's going to come after me.
That's right.
I own Vagabond Brewing. Yeah, it was Outlet Vagabond Brewing.
Yeah.
Or San Diego.
Yeah.
One of those two.
Victory Club.
That's where it was. I own Victory Club.
That dude at Ratchet, man, he sells boots by the gallon.
Yeah, that dude at Ratchet Brewery. If you're ever looking for a boot in Salem, that's where they're at. Ratchet Brewery.
All right, enough of the inside jokes. That only 3 people are going to get.
I know.
Let's move on.
You've talked about this before.
We've talked about Right to Repair a number of times before.
Yes.
It is a subject that I hold very close to my heart. As someone who likes to get the most out of hardware that he possibly can. Mm-hmm. And someone who is disappointed with the route that Apple has taken the last 5 or 6 years. I don't know whether there's a Burger King cup.
I
literally just saw that as you were looking at. I just saw that
too. I was like, wait, is that Burger King?
So all of a sudden there's a Burger King cup in the image. I didn't see it before. Burger King, you are on your advertising game.
I know. And Beats Audio.
Right.
Like, right?
That's a heck of a B-roll shot. Anyway, so I have tooted against the Apple regime before for their anti-consumer stance on repairs. That's a pretty well-established fact.
They're taking a little step
They're
further.
taking a little step forward, and it's a step that people didn't really want to see them take. Oops, skipped one ahead there. And that is, Apple now has in their software a kill switch that can scan individual serial numbers, essentially, or identifying marks for whatever hardware is installed into your MacBook Pro or iMac Pro.
Version 3s, I think, or something.
Yeah.
The latest.
The latest, yeah. Your Retina with Touch Bar or whatever the crap they're calling it today. And your 5K iMac Pro. That can detect the hardware that's being used, and if that hardware internally is changed, will disable the Mac from being used.
Yeah.
Hey, Regan, $5 donation. There is a black Suburban waiting outside. Are you sure about the statute of limitations?
I gotta go.
Roll, John! Yeah, there you go.
Yay! Alright, anyways.
I love that we have so much more room now, too.
Right? Yeah, I know.
I mean, this is nice.
You know, I like these chairs. I really do. But your old office chair had the best wheel.
Yes.
The sweetest
So
wheels.
I had some dual bearing rollerblade wheels essentially on my old
that
office
thing
chairs.
literally skated on carpet.
I could do this with like one finger, and I will go for like a mile.
Yeah, it was sweet. I enjoyed it. Anyway, all right, back to Apple being Apple.
So yeah,
back to Apple being
Apple
Eve.
allegedly has a kill switch within OS X or Mac OS Mojave.
Yeah.
That has a kill switch that will disable your Mac after any unauthorized repair, unless it is ran through the AST2, which is the Apple Service Toolkit 2, to verify and re-enable your whatever hardware was replaced, whether it's your screen or your keyboard or your trackpad or your touch bar.
Basically anything.
Anything attached to the machine. So the reason this is a problem is Apple is being extremely predatory with their repair prices.
Oh, they're insane.
And I'm gonna combine these two stories kind of together. So if you click on the next two links, there you go. So just go ahead and hit play.
Are you sure? Okay, we're good.
Yeah, I've got it muted. So this was a story that was launched by the CBC, Canada Broadcast Company, or whatever the hell they're called.
Not the BBC.
Yeah, it's the CBC, where they actually took hidden cameras into Apple stores with a broken MacBook Pro.
Yeah, that was the best part.
And they said it's a common issue with the MacBook Pro. The screen no longer works, where the computer will turn on but the screen doesn't work. And so they took the MacBook in, and they had the geniuses analyze the MacBook. So they took it behind their closed doors. They came back and they said, okay, well, there's two things going on. Number one, there's water damage to the logic board. And so we have to repair that first. That could be where your problem is coming from. But, because all your water sensors are tripped. And so we have to replace the logic board, which is going to be about $1,300. And then once we replace that, the screen might also be dead, which is going to be another $700 on top of that.
Yep.
So you're looking at a repair cost for the logic board and the screen of about $1,800. So you're pretty close to the cost of a new Mac.
No. Then they said and it's going to cost $100 in labor.
Yeah. And
then that's the bare minimum that it might be.
Right.
But it could also be X amount. This is actually part of the video where they're talking about it, and where he's like, the screen. They're saying the screen could be this. So it's looking at $1,100 total just in parts, $100 total for the parts and labor, and your screen might need to be replaced.
Which is an extra $700 plus $100 on top of that.
Yeah, exactly. You're looking basically at the same cost to go and just buy the latest version. Go buy the latest version instead.
Right. So they went through that whole process with the Apple Store, and they said, well, thank you, we declined the deal. And he goes, well, it's just cheaper to buy a new Mac. I understand that. This stuff is expensive.
He even asked, is there any cheaper way?
That's literally the cheapest way. And they go, well, we have to replace the logic board since we see signs of liquid damage.
Yeah.
Which, no, you don't. That's the whole point of repairs, is repairing what's broken, not what your red indicator on your motherboard, which could be tripped by any form of liquid, including high humidity environments, could be present. We live in Oregon. We live in 100% humidity 9 months out of the year, or 75% plus humidity, whatever it might be. Trust me, the humid sensors on my iPhone were tripped. I go snowmobiling with my iPhone. I go whatever else. Trust me, my iPhone has gotten damp before or been in damp environments, and those sensors are tripped. That doesn't mean the board is bad. That doesn't mean anything that the water has done has been bad. Now, a lot of you, if you watched the show, know Louis Rossmann. I've talked about him before. Great guy, owns a repair shop in Lower Manhattan. And he's actually featured in this video. They interview him, and they brought the same machine over to him and said, hey, what would you think about this machine? And so he picks it up and he takes the back cover off and he goes, usually this is caused by a bad pin. And so he pulls the pin or the cable out of the computer and he goes, oh look, one of your pins is bent. Let me just bend that back there. Click. Okay, monitor works now. You're all good to go.
Yeah.
He goes, literally took him a minute 30 and they said, well, what would you charge for that? And they said nothing. He goes, we would charge you nothing because it was that easy of a fix. Now I might recommend later on that you replace the LVDS cable and whatnot, and that might be a little bit more intensive. That's probably about $150 to $200 depending on the model. But your motherboard's not bad. Your RAM's not bad. Your CPU's not bad. Your SSD's not bad. Your RAM's not bad.
A micro little pin.
Your everything. Why are you paying the money to replace all of those components, which don't even cost that much? I mean, the i7 processor on here is a $200 part. Why are you spending $800 or $1,000 or $1,200 on a logic board replacement when that's not the bad part?
Yeah.
So he goes, yeah, the pin was bent. Let me, just kind of look around here. Oh, look, we've got some humidity sensors that are tripped. Let me bend that pin back in place here. We'll plug it back in. And we're done. We're done. Easy as that. He booted the machine up. It worked just fine.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's ridiculous.
Right. This article or this post by CBC also focused on iFixit, and them making parts available for consumers, both parts to repair your machines as well as the tools to repair your machines. And they interviewed the CEO of iFixit, and they said Apple is intentionally making it difficult to repair the machines by basically making their own screw heads and their own screws to...
Yeah, they're machining all of this stuff
right.
for themselves.
The pentalobe driver didn't exist before Apple said, you know what, we want a screw that's a security screw for our iPhones. Let's include a pentalobe screw in that. Oh, you know what, let's move that to our MacBooks now.
Yeah.
And the level of engineering that's in these to take these apart is not required. The number of screws and the different length of screws and what they go through to keep these unrepairable to the general public. Now, I've repaired a fair number of MacBook Pros in my day. It's not that difficult. And for Apple to keep it behind this wall of secrecy and, oh, sorry, that's going to be $1,800 to fix your thing. Or you can replace the LVDS cable, which... $15 part, maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe if you buy it full retail, $15 part.
No, I think the $1,200 plus $100 parts of labor is the smarter way of going.
No, definitely, because Apple knows way better than your average high schooler at Best Buy.
Exactly, right? You know, you'll get the warranty. It was just ridiculous when I read that.
At the Apple stores, at least you're getting college dropouts.
Well, yeah, the geniuses that they so-called are. I know, I still get people today that are telling me, Apple, I buy everything Apple. Look, I understand 5 years ago, it was great. In 2010, it was amazing.
In 2012, they had lost a little bit of shine. By 2018, they're blowing smoke up your ass.
Yeah, they're literally riding on the coattails of, you are just buying this for the name brand.
In 2010, Apple had one of the best retail experiences ever. Like, in the history of retail. They really did.
Oh, this is when they're talking about the stupid screws.
Yeah.
Like, they have an engineer explaining the screw.
Right. This is the CEO of iFixit.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No, he's not just some engineer. He's the guy that got pissed off enough to build his own company and make his own tools. Yeah. Him I like. I like him a lot. So anyway, as this article came out this week, I wanted to touch again on right to repair. It's important legislation, and as iFixit mentioned in the report, one province or one state is really all it takes, because the company is not going to change the way they do business to be in compliance with that one state.
Yeah.
They're not going to provide the state of Connecticut with repair manuals and no one else, or the tools or the parts. They're going to say, you know what, we have to make these available. So as soon as one state passes literal right to repair legislation with some actual teeth behind it that said you cannot do business in our state unless you provide adequate repair technologies and solutions and locations and tools and data sets and guides and parts and everything else.
Yeah, the licensing for third-party people and other places. Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, as soon as one falls, all the rest of the states will fall. As soon as one country falls, the rest of the states will fall.
Yeah.
If New Zealand passes a law, Apple's not going to stop selling in New Zealand. They're going to have to offer parts there.
Yeah, and then everyone's just going to like, oh, it's going to be cheaper for me to ship my computer to New Zealand, have it repaired there, and ship back than the $1,200 that it would cost me to buy a brand new one.
You're making me really upset about my health insurance right now.
You want to go move to New Zealand? Mm-hmm. You think their healthcare system is as good as ours?
There's a number of articles that are posted every year. One of which is, let's say I need a heart transplant or something like that. In the U.S., that's like a $250,000 procedure.
Yeah.
Plus the medical costs after the transplant. So $250,000 like in the hospital and out, like your 6-day stay there. It is cheaper for you to fly to France, live in France for 2 years, and then fly back than it is just to stay in the hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy stuff. All right, so Windows, Microsoft.
The opposite spectrum of Apple.
Of releasing only good things.
Of only good things, yes, exactly. And we've actually talked about this, or something similar to this, about Windows before, too.
We have. Seems like every major update every 6 months.
I know. So
we talked about it with 1709. We talked about it with 1803.
Yeah.
And here we are at 1809.
Yep. And if you haven't heard about this yet, because this is, I think it happened earlier last week.
Yeah.
One of the latest Windows 10 updates, I think it's 18 something.
1809.
1809. Can mess up and delete some users' data.
Right. Now, I've actually done some more digging into this that wasn't in this article. Microsoft responded, and they said, okay, we found that there was a bug in our latest update, and it affected people who were using what's called KFR, KFR, which is known file redirection.
Yeah.
And it affected 0.01% of our users.
Very little.
But if you take the 400 million install base of Windows 10 and you say it affects 0.01%, that means that 40,000 people lost everything in their home directory.
Well, it wasn't everything in their home directory. It's you had to have a user base or a username X amount of days old.
Right. It had to be X amount of days old, and you had to be using this feature.
And you had to be using that feature.
Now, the thing is, that's me. I use folder redirection on my Threadripper desktop. So I fit that use case. Now, what this is you have a boot drive that runs Windows, and you go, you know what? I don't want to keep my documents and favorites and music and videos on my C drive, on my boot drive. I want to move that to an external drive, or in my case, a network drive.
Yep.
So I redirected my files to my network drive. Now, mine probably would have been safe because they exist on the network drive, conceivably.
Yeah.
But let's say you have a spinning drive installed in your system, and you redirected your files from your SSD to your spinning drive, as is the case with my wife's computer, because we have a 120 gig solid state and a 1 terabyte spinning disk.
Yep, I have. My wife did have that.
Right, and you redirect all of your documents and settings and favorites and whatnot to that spinning disk. God damn it.
Like, I swear, it went off for 20 minutes, went off for 20 minutes, went off. I don't know what it is, but man, it's either the fresh hop or the ginger beer. Something's giving you some hiccups. Maybe it's the intense Intel.
Maybe it's
AMD,
me being pissed off at Microsoft and Intel.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's just the
screw the hat. That didn't work. There we go.
There, yay.
Don't hate me because I'm beautiful. Okay. Sorry. So anyway, literally both the use cases in my house fell into that 0.01%. So if you existed in that scenario where you had a small boot drive and you redirected your files over to your spinning disk to save space on your boot drive,
solid state boot drive,
you could potentially have lost all of your files with no recourse.
Yep. Would have been screwed. Even I think they're even saying an image wouldn't even back that up.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So you would have been completely screwed.
Yeah.
Because it wiped even the directories, the original directories, wiped the drive, everything, which is actually it's huge. In that instance, that 0.01% is a huge mistake.
That's still 40,000 people.
Still,
let's not discount how bad this was. And that's Microsoft saying 0.01%, which means like 2.5%.
Yeah, and they did sit there and say, hey, it hasn't been fully released yet. Some people got it, some people haven't yet. Here's the number. You're required to do it. Mm-hmm. But just check out for the number, and beforehand, maybe move your files over temporarily.
Right. Now, the bug has been fixed, allegedly. Yeah. We haven't tested it yet, but it has been fixed. They did end up pulling the 1809 update, fixing the affected sections, and then re-releasing the update. So the update is live again.
Yeah. So like I said, some people did get it, some people didn't.
Now, I haven't seen results on that, but I will say this is systemic of a problem at Microsoft that has existed for the last 4 years.
Yeah, and again, we talked about this, I think, the last update that screwed them over, too.
Yeah, I think we talked about it at the 1803 update and possibly the 1809 update as well. Is that right around 4 years ago? I keep hiccuping. I'm trying to stop. Right around 4 years ago, during the CEO transition from Ballmer to Nadella, there was
about a cutting of like 5,000, 5,500 employees,
Right.
and they basically got rid of most of their R&D. Or
Not their R&D, their
but,
QA.
the QA, sorry, the QA.
Right.
I always get these confused. But their QA, basically, their big testing facility.
Yeah.
Debugging, testing, and Microsoft basically started to kind of say, hey, guess what, users? Since we're giving Windows 10 for free, you're our testing people.
That's exactly
You're going to
what they
start
did.
telling us what's wrong with this, and we're just going to release this without testing it whatsoever, and
That's
hope
exactly
our
right.
programmers did everything perfectly the first time.
Right. So on the screen right now, this is an article from 2014. This was published July 17th, 2014. And that's Microsoft expecting one of its largest layoffs of all time, like its second largest layoff ever.
And it's huge. That's big.
That they fired 5,900 people in 2009. They're firing 5,500 people in 2014. Now, this was part of their 12,500 people that were let go from Nokia after Nokia was acquired, excuse me. And the bulk of this layoff was from their Windows OSG group, was from their operating systems group. What that group did was internal QA testing, was internal quality assurance.
Yeah.
For Windows operating systems and related products. So that was their Office update testing group. That was their Windows update testing group. God, it's getting worse.
It is getting worse. I tried to help you out there.
I noticed you took the segue over.
I took the segue over. I was like, dude, just hold your breath. Gosh. I can get this only for like the next 40 seconds, but hold it, quick.
I've got 35 seconds of brain power. Go. You're like Phoenix over there going,
I said, come on, I got this. You ever notice that she's always like, I'm not as good as Professor X, but I'm going to try anyways.
and then she kicks the crap out of him.
Yeah. Only when she's Phoenix, but when she's just Jean Grey, she's like, oh, Scott, my head hurts. I need ibuprofen. I love you. Oh. Logan's over there. Hey, baby, what's up? I'm 5'8". Scott's 6'3", but you want a hairy, short Canadian with metal claws.
That's right.
Yeah.
Look at my sideburns.
Look at my yeah. Hopefully that'll get him off the hiccups. Call me the X-Man. Hiccups.
We're going to roll with it. Anyway, so part of that 5,500, the majority of that was the OSG, was the operating systems group at Microsoft.
Damn it! I was so close.
I tried so hard. I gave it time. I let it float. So it was the group at Microsoft responsible for quality assurance. Now, this was not only the consumer-facing side, this was also the server-facing side. And this was right at the transition point where they said, screw you, we're going to tell you when you need updates.
Yeah.
Because remember, 2015, they introduced Windows 8.1, and then 2016 was Windows 10.
Yeah. It was 10, and then during 10, it was, you have to do updates.
And it was, we tell you when you update, you son of a...
Yeah, you can't even restart your computer without updating your computer.
Yeah.
And then if you don't do it, we're going to slow your operating system down.
Yeah. And not let you change your background.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Yeah.
It's black or this, and that's it.
That's right. So, anyway, QA goes away, and surprisingly enough, 4 years later, we haven't had like a clean major upgrade since.
God, no.
So...
But the thing is, Windows is...
This is what you get, Nadella, when you cut 5,500 jobs that are... Their primary function is to make sure your product is still good.
Maybe they were the ones responsible for Windows Vista. And they're like, yeah, that's a good product. We'll sell that.
I have an unpopular opinion on Windows Vista. Hear me out.
Okay.
Hear me out.
Okay.
It wasn't as bad as people say.
No, it really wasn't. But, okay, for me...
It was resource hungry.
It needed a lot of tweaking.
It needed a lot of tweaking. But if you fed it enough RAM, and if you fed it enough CPU cycles and whatnot, it was pretty happy.
Yeah.
And it ran pretty well.
But for the most standard standard computer, it wasn't that way.
Right.
You had
Now, I will say 32-bit compatibility should have died with Windows Vista. And it should have died with Windows 7. And it should have died with Windows 8 and Windows 8.1. And yet we still have 32-bit compatibility and 16-bit code that still exists within the Windows kernel in the 1809 update.
Yeah.
And so it's Microsoft continuing to just reuse old code and not rewrite anything. You can still open Program Manager in Windows 10.
But I still like Program Manager.
Yeah.
I do a lot of things from Program Manager still.
I know you do.
That's what I love about... But that's the thing. Windows Vista made it really hard to open that up. And I think that's what people, the older generation, liked about the Windows 7, because they brought a lot of that XP-ness, the powerhouse behind that back in. And then they saw people like, oh, we really like that. Oh, consumers like that? Okay, we're going to continue on that trend.
Right.
And when you update the system and piss off the big core, old school core users that are using it and that are promoting it with people, you're going to piss those people off.
Sorry, I'm reading the comments. I detect some resentment against us stout Canadians. Well, if you would grow taller than 5'10", I'd give you some more respect, but you don't.
If you'd shrink your football fields down and wouldn't have all these weird, long, huge field goal areas, I might respect you some more.
We've got 13 men. We've got a longer field.
Yeah, we got a longer field, but our field goal is twice the size of yours. And,
that's right.
And the field is technically half the distance, so our quarterback can literally throw out the whole field.
I say combine that with arena ball. Put a net around the whole thing with guardrails.
I think it should be more like indoor soccer, where like you could throw it off the wall.
And Regan donated $2, wants to let me know that hiccups are all in my head.
That's it.
They're not.
They're not. Trust me, they're so not. I've been dealing with it all day right now with him.
I'm sorry. I'm weak.
I've tried. I've been doing this and trying to get him over it. I've done everything I can by taking over the show. And
my mind, my thoughts. A little mind meld.
Yeah. I've given him alcohol and everything. It just doesn't seem to work. This isn't YouTube silence.
Okay.
All right. Maybe if we just talk a little calmer. We do some Zen yoga. Serenity now.
There we go.
Serenity.
Bring it down. Simmer down now. I'm sorry, but your salesperson's being very... I said simmer down now. One of the greatest SNL clips ever.
Simmer down now.
Little Garth Brooks. All right. Right to repair. It's important. Watch for legislation and a state coming to you.
Yep.
Hopefully.
And Windows, kind of sucks with their updates.
Yep. 6 gigs enough for Vista. Exactly. Back in a decade where 2 gigs was the average. So.
Yeah. Oh, no, didn't they say 4 gigs was the minimum for Vista?
No, they said 1 gig was the minimum for Vista.
Maybe that was 8 of them.
And it ate all of it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I totally did.
Yeah. You could not run Vista with 1 gig. However, speaking of Intel shady practices, Intel paid Microsoft to say, oh yeah, the 915 chipset is totally viable for Windows Vista, including your DG935 graphics chip can totally run the Vista Aereo effects. And they were later found that was a problem. And I believe Microsoft and Intel had to both pay out for that, for shady business practices, because Microsoft lowered the system requirements for Windows Vista because Intel had a bunch of 915 chipsets left over.
Sounds like something might be coming that way again.
Yeah, so those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it.
Yeah.
And it seems 10 years is enough time to be doomed from history. Try drinking upside down.
You trying to get Jeff to butt chug? Jeez.
Sounds like it. I got a funnel in there.
Is that part of your glassware?
It actually is part of my glassware, is I have a funnel. It's for filling my syrup bottles.
Sure it is.
I make my own syrups.
Jeff's butt chugging all of his liquor.
1792 is good shit, man.
Yeah. I'm going to benchmark the shit with this benchmark. It's the only way I can drink it.
It is the best way to bring benchmark. McAfee's benchmark. The only liquor for my ass.
We got a couple things, but do you want to just go into Q&A?
Probably pretty close to that. So California passed a law. You can no longer have a default username or password on your connected devices. So your routers, your cable modems,
you can no longer have
smart home devices. Right.
Basically anything like that. You are now required to change it.
Not only required to change it, but I don't believe the manufacturers are allowed to ship with it. They have to ship with a unique password. And they could probably base it on the MAC address because MAC address should be unique, but it can't be just a generic, hey, we're just going to say admin or admin password for every device that we ship out the door because no one changes it.
Yep.
I have a funny story from the Burger King that opened near me when I was in college of me changing their Wi-Fi password all the time so I would have the only access to that. Because they didn't learn that you probably should restrict access to the gateway address as well as change your default password. So for about 8 months, I was the only person who could get onto the Burger King Wi-Fi near my house.
I'm sure they were sitting there trying to call their... that was weird because oh wait, did you do the guest Wi-Fi?
No, back then it was only one Wi-Fi.
Really? Okay.
This was like 2003.
Oh, yeah. Well, then why did they have Wi-Fi? If they couldn't even get on there, wouldn't they sit there and call IT and be like, hey, we can't...
Well, how many people brought their laptop to a Burger King in 2003?
Well, I would think that they would have their own equipment there that needed the Wi-Fi to run something.
I don't think they did. Back then it was all hardware.
Then why have Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
That's stupid.
Yeah. Remember back then it was all something different.
It was all something different.
Yeah.
It was the Wild West.
It's a forgotten age.
Yeah. The good old days.
Vista Basic compatible. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they didn't say that. They said it was Vista compatible, which meant my name is Jeff Hick, thanks. Stop making him laugh. Hiccups might return. Chug, chug, chug. Let's see. Too lazy to factory reset. Yeah.
Yep.
Google Plus shutting down to the shock of no one.
All 0 people. Oh, I'm sorry. The 500,000 bots.
Yeah. The 458,000 actual people and the 48 or 42,000 people who went, wait, Google Plus is still a thing?
Yeah. Oh, God.
Yeah.
I didn't even know Google Plus was the thing. I remember, well, I think
Back in my day.
Yeah. I think
we had 2 social networks and Google Plus was the up-and-coming newcomer. Don't you know?
Oh, God, I remember when Google Plus was like, oh, you need to be on this because it's going to be the big thing. It's going to be on your phone.
For like a month.
It was I remember that. And there was even a couple of apps that were like, oh, link your Google Plus account to us. Yeah. And we'll help you out. And it was like, okay, this is stupid. Yeah. Why do I need another? I think didn't Google Plus come out right at the heyday of Facebook?
MySpace.
Yeah. Well, no, it was. I think it was MySpace was ending. Facebook was coming out. I think Google Plus.
It was right in the middle.
Right in the middle of it. It was like, hey, MySpace is fading. We need something new. Here's Google Plus.
Yep.
And then Facebook came in and basically said, screw you. Yep. And then Twitter came.
This is our party now.
Yeah, basically.
I don't know you.
So, but Google Plus basically finally shut down after, what was it? 50,000 people got
458,000.
458,000 people's so-called old 8-year information finally got hacked.
Right, and what this was very similar to the Facebook hack, the Carnegie Center, whatever hack. This was third-party apps sharing your Google Plus information with non-vetted vendors.
And this is old tech too. Tech in that world. Yeah. This is just old tech being sloppy. Yep. And Google not actually updating any of their software.
Right. And they finally paid for it.
Yep. So they just have to screw this. You know, we're just killing it.
Yep.
We don't need any of this up here. Honestly, probably nothing important was stolen.
Yep. Exactly. If you do have a Google Plus account, might not be a bad idea to change your password just to be safe. But almost 500,000 accounts affected. You probably got an email about it. If you did, change your password.
Yeah, that's all you really need to do. But
And Google now knows more about you than they did before. Whatever.
They already know everything.
They know way more than they need to know about me.
Yeah. Like the butt chugging.
Right. Like
The funnel
I not only go through a VPN, I also send my internal DNS through a VPN. So all of my traffic going out of this house is encrypted. And Google still knows more about me than I'm proud of.
Right? You're just like
mentioning in public airwaves.
I wouldn't be surprised if it comes out like the VPN you're going through. Wow, Google owns this VPN. What the hell?
Yeah. No, it's Nord. I use Nord.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was a joke, Jeff.
But I use Chrome. So they already know more about me than they need to know. So you brought this one.
So we were looking for some fun stuff. I noticed you're a big Nintendo handheld fan.
Yes.
You are a big one.
Not for Pokemon, for literally everything else.
And I am actually more like that too. I like more of the other handheld ones. And we were talking a lot about
some Game Boy Color Episode 1 Racer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Where are my peeps at?
We were talking a while ago also about just ROMs and hacks and everything you can do on your phone. And I think even very early episodes we were talking about like emulators being on phones and everything. So Nintendo could be coming out with a case. Could be. It might just be like, hey, we're patenting this so no one can steal it.
That was my take.
And that was Jeff's take on
So there have been some cases that have come out that attach to your phone that use the battery from your phone and the micro or the USB-C port from the bottom of your phone as a battery port.
Yeah.
You can then turn your phone around and you have a screen and a cartridge slot and you can play your Game Boy games, actual cartridges on your phone. There's also some that take ROM dumps from your cartridges that you insert and you can play them on your physical phone through an emulator, but those are still unsanctioned, unofficial, etc.
Yeah.
And I've seen enough of them to know that they're out there and they're real products.
So it sounds like Nintendo might be kind of trying to take a lot of that back.
Right.
Is that they might be trying to patent a phone case that will emulate almost like the Game Boy Color, probably be that size.
Right.
But it would basically, you'd open the case and it would turn your phone into a Game Boy, which.
Do you like how organized my office is now?
That actually was pretty slick. I will admit that you knew exactly where to go and it was right there. But I mean, like, look. So we got.
Yeah.
That's pretty close.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see that as a case.
Yeah.
So it's pretty sweet. I don't know. I thought that was kind of fun. And then because Nintendo's also getting into the phone game market, so this did make sense.
Yes, it does. I still feel this is a patent filed to send some C&Ds.
Probably.
I feel Nintendo said, "Oh yeah, we could totally develop that. We're not going to, but we totally could.
We could,
and we own the IP, so we're going to patent it."
Yeah.
That's what this screams to me. So,
I don't know. Maybe if we're all lucky, maybe it won't happen. They are coming out with a lot of retro things coming out right now. So.
Yep. And then let's skip this one.
Okay.
And then Nintendo Switch 2.
Possibly, there was rumors of a 2019 revision, upgrade, essentially. It wouldn't be a brand new, complete, total system. It would just be an upgraded version. From my understanding of a lot of the articles that I read about this, it would basically be a better battery, a better screen to reduce battery.
Yes.
Bigger screen. It's basically, you're just an all-around upgrade. You're going to get a better hard drive space, bigger screen.
I finally bought one. Get off my damn back.
But they have to keep the controllers the same, the adaptability. Yeah. It wouldn't have, was it an LCD screen? Or
it'd have an OLED. Is what I think it would have.
And they'd make it a little bit bigger, and the battery pack would be better, because I think my battery only lasts like 4 hours, 4 or 5 hours.
4 or 5 hours, depending on what
5 hours, depending on what game you're playing. But again, indoors, this is a fine screen.
Yes.
But once you're outdoors, or in a very bright area,
yeah,
you're screwed. You get so much glare. They're basically trying to make it more like a nice phone screen, get it really bright. So that's really kind of what I got away from these articles. They're just going to upgrade the hardware, kind of like Xbox and Sony, where they're like, hey, we're going to give you the Xbox One X, where we have a bigger hard drive.
PS4 Pro.
You know. So you're just
iterative version of the same console.
Yes, exactly. And honestly, I like that. I think Nintendo is doing the right thing of keeping this console. They did a smart thing with this console. They are not competing with those guys. They're switching. They switched their market.
Right.
They swung for the fences. I really think they swung for the fences on this.
They did.
And I think they hit it. I think they hit a home run.
I love the Switch.
I love the Switch. For what they have, I think they're going to hit the independent game marketers so much better. And with these upgrades, if they do these upgrades,
what we saw at PAX was amazing.
Yeah.
So some of the games and the not just the number of games, but the quality of games and the type of games that are coming to Switch. There was that Nordic role playing game.
Yeah.
There was Rebel Galaxy Outlaw.
Yeah.
There was spiritual successor to Pilot Wings.
Yep.
There was, I mean, there's a lot.
There was a lot
really good games.
And then what was funny was the developers that we talked to that didn't switch. They're like, yeah, we're probably gonna, the next one we do is probably gonna be Switch compatible.
Right. And developers that didn't even have it on their radar, they said, come Q4 after we've done all of our releases and updates for the PC, we're going to talk about Switch.
Yeah, it's everyone's talking about it. I think it is that portability.
Yeah.
I can go from my console, my big TV, to I can take it on the go. It really seems like the biggest complaints about it was the screen, the battery life,
right?
A bit of memory.
Battery
size.
life, I would say, like I said, I get between 3 and 4 hours playing like Zelda, which is one of the more intensive games that's on the Switch. But I mean, I've got the dock here on my 4K monitor, and that's how I play my Switch.
Yeah, no, usually that's how I play. I got my big 4K TV. I just go plop it in there, and I'll sit on the couch and just kind of like drown away playing it.
Yeah.
But then my wife wants to watch TV, and I love it. All right, I'm taking off.
Yep. I'm going to continue my game. Click.
I'm going to continue my game.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's genius. I thought that was genius.
Yep.
I was really afraid when they were coming out that this is going to be crap.
Yes.
So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward. I really hope though that they don't jump the price up too much. If this is true, again, these are just rumors.
Very, very rumor.
Very, very.
Take
rumors.
this with all of the salt.
Yeah, it was kind of. I even told Jeff, I was like, I don't even know if you want to talk about this because you don't like rumors, but this is a rumor, and we do like talking about the Nintendo Switch because it has been coming up during PAX and other things.
Yep.
So,
cool.
Couple minutes of.
We got a couple minutes.
We got a couple minutes.
What do you guys want to talk about? Hit me.
Jeff's no hiccup free for the next 20 minutes.
Why do you jinx me like that? Gosh. All right.
What do we got up here? Jeff could be an Apple genius.
Don't insult me like that.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, I know a couple of kids that could be Apple geniuses.
Yeah. And I said that years ago. Like, people in 2010, when Apple was at their peak, said, you should be an Apple genius. Get a job with the Genius Store. Oh, yeah. Thanks.
It is pretty much an insult.
Best budget gaming mouse for £30. I am doing a roundup in the next... I think it's going to be like 6 weeks out. It's a little ways out.
Are you thinking wireless or are you thinking wired?
Gaming mouse. Wired gaming mouse.
Well, I've seen... There's
I am doing 5 gaming mice under $20 in the next 6 weeks. I don't know when. They're on their way still. But that's coming.
I think I have... If you don't have the one I have, I think it is $24. I really like it.
You have a Red Dragon?
Yes.
Yeah. That's one of the best that I've heard.
Yeah.
Best AMD CPU for gaming. I like the 2600. I don't like the Wraith Stealth cooler that comes with the 2600, and I don't necessarily like the Wraith Prism cooler that comes on the 2600X either. So regardless of where you spend your money, I like to buy a third-party cooler. You can get some pretty decent ones for $20 to $30 to $40. So $220 to $240, you've got a 6-core processor that does pretty well. It can pretty much overclock to 4 gigahertz pretty evenly without much effort. I like the 2600.
Do we have internships for computer engineering majors?
If you live in the greater Salem area, which means you live in Salem, and you want an internship with me, maybe. I don't know.
I don't really know what you'd intern and be like, hey, I need some gutters to go and clean. Hey, my baby's diaper needs changing. Go intern that.
That's right. Yeah, I'm not looking for computer interns. I'm looking for babysitting interns. Best budget mouse, Red Dragon M901, which is, I think, the one that you have.
It might be.
Yeah. You guys need lab coats. Thank you. Let's see. With all that's going on with Win 10, should I really stay with Win 7? Probably not. The thing is, what's the alternative? Win 7 isn't a great alternative because you don't get DX12. You're not getting latest drivers. As of the end of this year, you're not getting any security patches. So you kind of have to. Unless you go with Linux, with SteamOS, or Ubuntu or Debian with Steam installed. Yeah.
Yep, I have. Yeah.
Yeah, M901 Red Dragon, good mouse, $25.
Yeah, that's the one I have.
Pretty solid.
It's solid.
So you can get over to Linux with Proton, with Steam, and you can play 85% of the games in the library right now. I'm working on testing that. I'll probably be doing a full expose eventually. I've been too busy with other things to get into SteamOS. But what's the alternative from Windows 7? It's Windows 10.
Yeah.
So,
Windows 8 sucked.
Yeah.
I mean, when you have to make an 8.1 to help it out.
And it still doesn't have DX12. Yeah.
So.
What in the world is going on with the ad on that page?
It's the classic. This one?
Yeah. Okay.
PS4 advertising Mario?
Okay, that was interesting. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not going to show it. That was weird.
That was weird.
Especially with Reddit's fascination with Bowsette lately.
He always wants to play her on Nintendo, or what's it called? Mario Kart. Because he like petitions, please have her on the next version.
Yeah. Well, no, that's Waluigi.
No, there was Bowserette. Some people were like petitioning them to be on the latest updated version of Mario Kart.
Yeah, I'm sure there were. It's never going to happen.
And it was like, no.
It's never going to
happen. Never happen.
With the webcomics that are out, oh my god. You guys are sick. All right. Don't accept an internship with Jeff. Why not? Free liquor.
Right, exactly.
There's a liquor cabinet in my office, for crying out loud.
And you get to hang out with Steve Wright and me.
That's right.
Who doesn't want to do that?
Well, Stephen Wright anyway.
Yeah, there's that. You
know,
you don't want to hang out with
I mean,
me.
you're just bonus.
I'm just,
Craft Computing, do you think more people should be aware about internet privacy? Absolutely, I think so.
Oh, yes.
Depends
what you do, though, but yes.
I'll round this out with like digital citizenship as a larger term. It's important to protect who you are online and not be a dick and not leak your passwords and be aware of proper security management of your online account and your online facing self.
Yes.
Who has access to that?
Have at least 5 different passwords.
Part of my job is I hire and fire. One of my evaluations is I check your social media and see if you're a dick.
Oh my gosh, I do that all the time. So I don't hire and fire people, but I sit there and I look up. I
don't ask you for your Twitter handle, but I can probably find you on Facebook. Then if it's linked to your Twitter and your Instagram and your whatever else, I know who you are.
Yeah, in my office of 250 people, I don't know who everyone is.
And if 6 days a week I'm totally blitzed tonight, you're probably not getting hired. Sorry.
I know. So half the time, like college, they're like, "Hey, I need you to call this person and go help their computer. Their name's Rachel." Who the hell's Rachel?
Yeah.
You know. And so I'm like, okay, hang on, let me Facebook search or Google search Rachel, whoever the last name is.
Yeah.
And then, oh wow, look at your Facebook. Oh, now I know who you are. Well, wait a second. What'd you do? Oh God, that's disgusting.
Yeah.
Oh God, you know.
Yeah.
It's just, why would you even put that online?
Right.
You know, employers do. I will admit, I talked to the HR department because, again, I helped build the software for them to hire people. I asked them, like, oh yeah, we totally look at social media. We totally look at all of that stuff. We do even the basics of search just for your name, and then type in the state and city you live in.
Yep.
And we see what pops up and do image searches. And if you're a jerk and you look like a jerk, we probably won't hire you.
Yep.
It's bad.
Yep. The old thing where you've got a face tattoo or you're all pierced up or whatnot, people don't care about that necessarily anymore. They care about whether or not you're dropping bombers at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday morning.
Well, there's that too. And then also, like, they'll look, one of the other things they looked at is like, oh, past employment. Oh, when were you last hired? Oh, I was hired 5 weeks ago. So they go and look at your social media 5 weeks ago.
Yeah.
How did you represent that company 5 weeks ago when you got fired?
Exactly.
Or you quit?
Yeah.
And why did you quit? Then did you start...
Well, I quit. Difference of opinion.
Yeah, and then in your social media, go, well, F this person who did this, and how screw that, you know, and you're talking bad about
my boss
that
is an
company.
effing dick, and he did this. And
so they're not going to hire you.
Yeah.
So you have to be smart.
And I go, I'm not going to have you write that about my company.
No,
So...
I do two things on social media. I post, hey, I'm drinking this, and I put a joke.
That's exactly what I do as well.
All I do.
I don't even post very many pictures of my kids.
Yeah, I post very little. There's times I'm like, oh, that's cute. There we go.
Right. I take my camera out and I'll do like professional shots of my kids.
But I don't post those.
Or it's like, oh, first day of school. You know,
yeah, exactly.
I'll do those kinds of things.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like,
that's all you'll ever see from me.
Yeah,
or, hey, Jeff checked in the ordinance.
Yeah, that you'll see if you follow me on any kind of social media. 90% of my stuff
is just beer check-ins.
It's beer check-ins. Oh my God, John's an alcoholic. Yeah,
John. Unfortunately, I probably wouldn't hire you.
This was actually funny.
Because you check in beers at 3 a.m. on Wednesday.
I do. Because I forgot last night because I was drunk.
Yeah. I'll get Twitter alerts from John, and it's like, John checked in your beer. It's like, it's 4:30. What the fuck are you doing?
Sometimes it's actually me checking in at 4:30.
I know.
It was funny. So, Untapped.
AM or PM? Yes.
Yes, both. No, Untapped used to have this feature that told you, hey, you've had too much.
Yeah.
Think about cooling down.
Yeah.
So Steve and I used to go to the Oregon Brew Festival.
I've gotten a couple of those.
And we used to get, like, after every 4, we think you've had enough.
Yeah.
And it'll tweet that and put it on our social media. We used to get calls from friends because we post our check-ins. Yeah. We linked our Untapped to our Facebook or Twitter account.
And then you're like, are you okay?
Yeah, and people would sit there and be like, how much have you drunk? You're an alcoholic. And like, no, we're just
It was
sampling.
a 2-ounce sample.
Yeah, it was just like a little sip.
Although I will say, we did get kicked out from the specialty tent. The only time I've ever been cut off in my life was after 4 ounces of beer.
That was fun. That was a fun.
So when you go to a brew fest, we'll probably end with this. When you go to a brew fest, they give you either a 2 or a 3 ounce pour.
Yeah.
And so you get a glass when you sign up, and it has a little line on it. And I've got a dozen of them in my case. And when you give your 1 or 2 or 4 tokens or whatever it is, they pour to that line, and that's your sampler. And you drink that, and you're all good. Well, the fun thing is to try to get the person who's pouring into a conversation. And like, hey, what are you doing here? Oh, where are you from? Oh, that's really cool.
So they're like pouring,
and they pour and they overpour. And they go, oh crap! I gave you like half a pint. Oh, here you go.
Yeah, you can't pour it back in.
Right. So they give you an 8 ounce pour for a 3 ounce price and whatnot. And you go, oh, thank you. And so John and I we got to the Oregon Brewers Fest. We hit a couple of brews really early. We hit a couple of big IPAs that we wanted to hit.
Really big ones.
And then we went to the specialty tent. So John's like 3 or 4 samples in. I'm 2 samples in. I've literally had like 4 ounces of beer.
Nothing, because I was, and this was like when I was. If you want to see the video, it's online.
It's online. So we went and hit the specialty tent like 20 minutes after we got there. I got there. So we go to the specialty tent, and we're both trying our boyish charms on whoever. So John's trying his pour, and he's going, oh, no, my eyes are up here. Come on, look at and whatnot. And I actually wanted to try a gluten-free beer that they had, very special. It wasn't Domitian, it was someone else.
Okay.
But it was a gluten-free beer, and my wife's celiac, so it's like, I want to try that to know should I buy this for home?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like there as like a genuine connoisseur wanting to try something.
Yeah.
And whatnot. And I'm given, and they pour the last of the pitcher right in front of me. Like, I'm the next person in line. And then they go and try to refill the pitcher, and they blew the keg. And they went, sorry, we're all out of that. And I went, oh man, I really wanted to try that. And John goes, man, you should have like just did that. And so we're just like giving these people some
like
well-deserved ribbing. We're having a good time. And
nothing inappropriate or anything.
Right,
Just basically what we do here on the show.
Exactly. And the guy walks forward. So there's a guy standing in the back.
Yeah.
And he walks forward past the three girls who are pouring beers at that point. And he goes, I think you boys need to go get some water, and you need to go sit down for a little while and think about if you guys need to stay here.
I just laughed so hard.
And I went, what? like I've been drunk at a beer fest before. Yeah. I wasn't drunk.
No. If you watch the video later on, we started getting drunk.
Later on, we got drunk.
Yeah.
We got pretty. You did.
I did.
You did.
I did. Hey, you didn't drive home till late either.
Yeah.
Oh, we went to that free event. Too.
Yeah, we went to a free cocktail party
event.
afterwards.
Yeah, so
that's another story.
Yeah.
But anyway, where we got, and I didn't include this in the video because I thought it was inappropriate at the time. But screw it, I'm a big YouTuber now. I'll talk about it. We got kicked out from the specialty edition after 2 samplers.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. If you see the YouTube
simply
video,
because John always looks like he's drunk. You always do. I get so many comments about John is so wasted right now.
It's actually very... So this actually brings up a story, and I'll say it really quickly. I was going with some friends, and we were crossing... we were going to go to a bar, and we were crossing the street, and a friend of mine just said a joke. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was hilarious. And it actually was a really good joke. But again, because of my laugh and my looseness, I kind of overreact. Yeah, exactly. And so then the bouncer, it was a Saturday night, so you had to have a cover charge.
Yeah.
And so there was a bouncer, and he said, oh, no, you can't come in.
Yeah.
I saw you were drunk.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm not. I'm just happy. I'm having a good time.
I'm just naturally this way.
I literally haven't had a drink. And he's like, no, you're drunk, sir. I was like, I will take a breathalyzer.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you're
I'll
drunk.
blow on 0.0, I promise.
It's like, no,
nothing.
You're drunk.
Yep.
You're drunk. You can't come in here. Like, what?
Yeah. Didn't you have an OLCC surprise test as well?
I did have. Yeah. I had 2. I passed both.
Yeah.
With 100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm good.
Yeah. The Oregon Liquor Commission surprise tested John twice during his tenure.
My tenure, and I passed
because they suspected he was drinking on the job.
He was fine. I was fine. And actually, after the first time, I became friends with the person. They were like, "Hey, we're just coming in. We're checking you.
Yeah,
you're fine."
Yeah.
So, but they were cool people.
Yeah, you had a couple surprise tests early on.
I had a couple surprise tests early on. That was fun. But that's what people like coming in. They're like, "Hey, this guy's already drunk." It's like, no. Actually, it's funny. I used to have.
You're like, yeah, I've had it like a ginger beer.
I used to have what was that? That Mazama handle.
Yeah.
And I used to have sparkling water and soda behind. I had coconut water or coconut sparkling
coconut water.
Yeah, and I was like in a can. I was like, "This is what I'm drinking, guys. Here, you want some coconut water?" And it was, maybe after my shift and the bar was closed, yes, I drank a lot.
Those were good times.
That was good times. Then we would play VR. And
John, I miss those days.
Oh, God, that was so much fun. You weren't as popular then, Jeff.
I wasn't. I had like 500 subscribers then.
And you were like, oh my God, I got 500 subscribers.
People are watching my channel. Now I'm like, why did that last video only get 7,000 views? What the actual crap?
Yes. Actually, didn't our Brewfest video finally reach like 1,200 views?
Oh no, it's one of my lowest viewed videos.
Yeah, it's so low.
It's at 492.
Please go.
I want to say, and it's the only one that YouTube refuses to monetize.
Go watch
They
it.
won't let me sell ads on that video.
Go watch it.
I have requested reviews of that video 3 separate occasions, and YouTube keeps demonetizing it because you're drunk.
Well, okay, yeah, toward the end I am.
They don't tell me why, but I'll request an official review and say, look, we're literally just tasting beer.
Yeah.
Like, that's allowed. And the official response I get is, no, there's illicit substances and you're abusing alcohol.
No!
Yeah.
No! YouTube, you don't know me at all.
Like, I'll say at the end of the video, we're both above the legal limit, but I was like a 0.12.
We weren't abusing it.
But we weren't abusing.
No, we weren't chugging it or anything.
And I'll note, I showed up at Brewfest at 6:15. We left Brewfest at 7:45. I left at a 0.12. We went to dinner, went to a show, and then stayed at the cars talking for like an hour.
Yeah.
And we left at like 11:30.
If not even later than that. I thought it was more like 1 a.m. And then, again, even in the video, you can see all of our beer samples are
We're there,
we're like tiny little things. We're like, hey, we just tried this IPA, and we get 2 sips, and that was it.
Yeah.
Stupid YouTuber. It's probably some like 18-year-old like, oh, they're having alcohol.
Right, and that's exactly what it is. Is people see the alcohol and they stop. Yeah. I will say, I went through a period right after I started to get popular, but not before I was like big, where like between 1,000 and 10,000 views, where every single video I posted immediately was demonetized.
You were tough because
every single one
had a beer.
Because I had a beer on there. I didn't even show myself drinking or pouring at that point. Now I have fun with the B-roll with doing like some pours and stuff like that. But at the time, it was I start with an empty glass, I do my intro, I go to the craft computing intro, and then it's me with a full glass, and then through the video, it goes down. And you never, ever see me take a drink. Those videos would be demonetized because people would submit me for illicit content.
Yeah. I remember
one of them before I even posted it.
I remember there was like an argument you even got with, or not you got with.
I got in an argument with Google about their policies.
It was pretty bad. Yeah.
Where I said,
was ridiculous.
Tell me explicitly why my video is being demonetized. Yeah. Because I am being respectful of the craft as well as I'm being a professional journalist. Yeah. I just happen to have a beer in front of me.
And again, too, you were never physically in the video shown drinking it.
Right.
It was ridiculous.
Right. I hold myself to a pretty professional standard on camera.
Until talking
most
heads.
of the time. Until Talking Heads. I have been drunk on Talking Heads a couple times, I will say.
With Steve.
With Steve. Pretty much like 3 times with Steve. Because Steve and I usually start with a shot, and then we have some heavier beers, and then we'll have a shot midway through the show, and then we finish with 2 or 3 more shots after we're done filming.
How come all the other times Brett got the vodka, Steve got the whiskey?
It's because you bring me Budweiser Reserve.
Well, I bought you the EOD.
Yeah. And I'm still trying to suck that down. Thank you.
Whatever. Hey, the first one wasn't bad.
First one wasn't bad.
Hey, these are all new to me too. I bring interesting. I'll bring the blueberry creamsicle IPA next time.
$180 for a 4770 and a Z87 motherboard. A bad idea. I bought it. I don't think that's terrible.
That's not horrible. That's
honestly,
a little cheaper than
it's a quad core. You're working with DDR3 memory, which you can get fairly cheap nowadays versus DDR4, where you're still paying a premium. Honestly, $190. That's not a bad deal.
No, the DDR3 too. You can get quite a lot for like probably about $150. You can get some really
for $150. You can get 32 gigs of really good stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're rocking ECC, I bought 64 gigs for $160 this last week.
So if you invested plus that, then another $300-$400.
And again, Intel is only 15% faster today, so 15%. Are you going to notice that if you're rocking
so
a 1080? No, you're not.
If you can go and dump another $350-$400 into that system, you're going to have a killer system.
Right, 15% is the difference between 60 FPS and 72. Who cares?
Can you even physically see it?
Right.
No.
Who cares? So, yeah, 4770, great CPU. Whiskey is good.
I wouldn't know.
I just wanted
didn't get to have it. Well, yes, I did.
You did have it.
Make them watch the beginning of the video, Jeff.
That's right. Let's see. I think that's about it.
Yeah.
I think I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah.
Episode 53 of Talking Heads in the book.
Done.
Thank you so much for joining us. John, bring better beer next time.
Shut up. I'm bringing pumpkin beer next time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna.
Down in my fridge, I have 3 for Halloween.
See what? Why are you knocking my boots?
Because you had like 12 kegs of the crap.
1 year.
And then you pawned it off on all your friends, going, hey, free beer, we're doing a sampling and we want to do a podcast.
That was funny.
And then we show up and there's nothing but freaking pumpkin beer.
That was great. That was great.
Yeah, that's why
That was great.
you have a certain reputation. Episode 53. Thank you so much for joining us. Follow me on Twitter at Craft Computing. Follow John on Twitter and everything else at Hops and Brews. Check out a link to his YouTube channel down below. He does beer reviews, and I even make an appearance or two from time to time.
We need to do another one.
We do.
I do. I already have like 2 ideas I really want to do.
Yeah, and I think we need to film them.
Yeah.
So hit me up. We'll make those happen.
Fantastic.
Yep. Yeah, we're gonna do some more cocktail stuff on.
We
Hops
will.
and Brews.
We were talking about it, and we might even do it here. Actually.
Yeah, because I've got the booze.
He's got the booze.
If we need to change something,
and
up.
I think we even need a bit nicer camera lens to get the really nice, good close shots.
I do have some epic B-roll here.
Yes.
Yeah. So, anyway, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a great night. Appreciate you stopping by. Buy AMD stock. That's all I can say.
Yeah, if you got the money, buy it now. It's probably gonna soar.
Yep.
For the next 3-4 years. See you guys.
Thanks, guys.